Good to have you with us on our Sunday coverage. Welcome to Fox Sports 2 and America's Day at the Races. We get set for the latter half of the card from New York in South Ozone Park and from Hot Springs, Arkansas. Talk a little about what happened on the Derby Trail as well on Saturday afternoon. Good to have you with us. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Searling, and in studio Jonathan Kinchin, our expert handicapper as well. Good to see you both. Getting set for race 6 coming up, start of the late pick 4. And guess who's back in the Kentucky Derby picture? The coach.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something. Bob Baffert's not happy to see Wayne Lukas in the Kentucky Derby, because one thing we saw yesterday, and we know past years, Wayne is not afraid to send a speed horse to lead. And if nothing else, I don't know where you stand on yesterday's Virginia Derby winner, who was pretty good. He's got a lot of speed.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think you're right. I mean, look, the Derby pace usually ends up being fast anyways because there's 20 horses in it. But that extra little umph of a horse that you know is going to go does kind of spice things up for everybody else.
Yeah, he's quick, that horse, American Promise, and he just had no real chance last time in the Risen Star, and he showed in the right situation. He's pretty good.
Yeah, we'll take a look back at that performance, punching that ticket for the D. Wayne Lukas runner. Nick Juarez aboard for that win. Here's what's ahead today, presented by Claiborne Farm. Races 6 through 9 here in New York on the fast-going start of the cross-country Pick 5 in the 7th. And then out in Hot Springs, we have Richie Migliori. We'll check in with in a bit. They are fast. Their feature that 8th race and a couple of brilliant performances on the card yesterday, including a filly who is going to be tackling Torpedo Anna on April 12th in the Apple Blossom. More on that ahead. You can bet all the action today by getting signed up with Naira Bets. Get that $200 deposit match sign-up bonus with that code for new members, match 200. Punch that in and sign up at NairaBets.com and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. We'll get to Hot Springs in a moment. Let's shift back here to New York. 6 furlongs coming up in this start of the late pick 4. $40,000 maiden optional claiming group and the 8-5 favorite. Wow. Roofer?
I'm looking at pick 4s, and believe it or not, Roofer is favored in the pick 4.
That is surprising.
He has the speed, but Jonathan, does he strike you as horse that should be the favorite in this race?
I wouldn't call him the favorite. I mean, I'm interested in Shlomo, which isn't too far off from a price standpoint, but I'm just hoping that the blinkers can get me back to that performance 3 races ago.
What was his excuse last time? His owner told me he threw a shoe. Throwing a shoe is not an excuse. He was awful.
Yeah, he was.
We'll see if he can bounce back. It was also his first start in quite some time. Same deal for Palace Boss, coming off a long layoff. They were in that common race. Palace Boss certainly ran a lot better, the 5, who right now is, wow, inflated price at 5-1. I would expect some movement on this board. 14 minutes away from the start of this late pick 4. We'll have the post parade for the 6th when we come back. Stay with us.
Introducing Peace and Justice, new to New York in 2025. A proven sire with over 200 wins, 16% wins per starts, and one of only 2 New York-based stallions to have a graded stakes winner at Saratoga in 2024. Now, with 3 different racing surfaces coming to New York, and with New York breds running for equal purses as open company, Peace and Justice is the sure choice for 2025. Peace and Justice, now standing at Irish Hill and Duchess View Stallions in New York.
Back with you on our Fox Sports 2 coverage, America's Day at the Races, as we get set for the 6th coming up. Again, 6 furlong sprint. 3-year-olds and up trying to get that first win on the resume. There's Palace Boss. Like Shlomo, the 4 next door, they ran against each other back on February 14th. They were both coming off lengthy layoffs. Certainly it was Palace Boss who ran the better race that day.
He did run better. Now, Shlomo has that one big figure going back 3 races, but he is disappointed at odds-on in 2 subsequent races. I hope he runs better, but I am not thrilled with the way he ran last time.
No, and look, I mean, I think that he ran well on debut as well. So it's not as he just has one good race. I think he's got a couple of good ones.
He ran really well in his debut.
He does have to run. He cannot do what he did last time. He certainly can't do what he did last time. But I'm hoping that maybe the blinkers on, second off of a break, will help him find that form previously.
We're talking about Shlomo, the 4, who just went through the screen, who faced this horse, last time out. He'll put blinkers on the 4 Shlomo. Meanwhile, the horse we're still all surprised, who's still favored, the 8 Roofer, looks like the speed of the race, and he's already quick, and now he puts blinkers on, and he has really just that one race where he hit the board, but he ran a similar figure last time out to that best finish.
I don't know about you, Jonathan. I am scared of his speed, but I feel like I totally missed this horse. And obviously 6-5 right now. I'm clearly missing something. I get him as the speed. He comes out of a decent race. I just don't really like this horse. I don't think he's that good.
Yeah, he doesn't make much sense to me. I mean, he's gotten loose a few times and still hasn't won. So, like, how much better of a trip is he going to get here today?
Yeah, I guess that was at a mile, if you want to say it. And it's not that he could certainly win, but the money is a little surprising at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very
smarter than us, though.
Well, the 8 Roofer, yes, still favored. That speedster as we get back to Oaklawn. 6 furlong sprint and coming up in this $25,000 claiming race. It's horses who have not won 3 lifetime. The condition, and we'll kick things off here with the favorite Juilliard from the rail.
Yeah, I guess this horse obviously a contender. Cuts back in distance for a trainer who has mediocre numbers. 1 for 15 on turnbacks in the last 5 years. Blinkers go on the 2 Just Ask Watts.
Yeah, was involved in a nice pace last time. Puts the blinkers on. Should be even faster here today.
Here's Aaron or Aaron.
Another horse who cuts back in distance, taking some money. I kind of preferred others, but he's a contender.
Off the claim here, Market Street with Ken Sweezy.
Can certainly win. I just have a hard time taking closers in dirt sprints.
I'm betting this horse.
Dalton's Rut-Row.
Not betting him. He looks like he's overmatched.
Powerful David Jacobson first off the claim. Claims off of Asmussen.
Yeah, I mean, Steve tried to do a lot of different things with this horse. He tried to go short. He tried to turf sprint. He tried to go long on the grass, and all of it was a struggle.
Martine Schwann on easy action for Lindsey Schultz.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem quite good enough. Does get a rider change and drop down, however, and back to a fast track.
Yeah, Western Command, Steve Asmussen claims he puts his son Eric aboard.
Yeah, this horse has been claimed a few times. Claimed by Sharp Tom Amos, then claimed again by Steve Asmussen. I like to see good trainers claiming horses. It makes me have
Do
a
we
little
get
bit
to
of
meet the Sharp Tom Amos sometime?
You've never met him before?
No, I've met the kind of dull Tom Amos.
He only comes out in the summertime for us.
Smart Tom Amos? I've never heard Sharp. I never heard that before.
Looking forward to hearing what Mig has to say about a couple of those big performances from yesterday. We'll get to that later in the show. First things first as we close in on this 4th. Richie, how you doing?
I'm doing well, guys. I love hearing your banter. Beautiful day here. Big crowd, enthusiastic crowd in the Saratoga of the South. And this race is a bit of an anomaly to me because for a sprint at Oaklawn Park, I'm not seeing real sprint speed signed on. You have horses that show speed going longer, turning back in distance. Will that translate into sprint type speed? I'm having a hard time making out where the pace is coming from. Starting down towards the inside, though, the 1 Juilliard, Martin Garcia, little known fact, he is one heck of a cook, guys. I had some banana bread here yesterday. It was phenomenal. This horse has won sprinting here. He has the rail. Will Martin, feel the urgency to leave and get position? Again, I'm having a hard time making out the pace here. Horse looks great, really well turned out on the racetrack. I thought the 7, Easy Action, actually could turn out to be the speed here if that's their intention. Martin Schwann, if he leaves with this horse, maybe he's the one who can make the lead. He's taken some money, looks great. Lindsey Schultz does a really good job. I just thought this horse might have a look if he can get involved early. And then the 8-horse, Western Command, you guys talked about it. A horse that like this, it's popular at the claim box by sharp trainers. There's something attractive. He's coming from a good barn, going into a good barn, looks fantastic. And he's a horse at times that can lay up close too. Guys, this was a head scratcher for me. Who do you see as playing out as the pace?
There was a time when the 8 Western Command, it wouldn't even be close, would have been the speed of this race. Those times may have passed.
I think those times have passed.
Powerful, the 6, maybe the 7, Easy Action. What do you guys think?
Well, the time form pace projector has the 2, 4, and 7, the 6 close behind them, but the 7 may be fast of all. But I think it always comes down to what Richie says. Who wants it the most?
Yeah, intent, I think, goes a long way. You know, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if the 2 was forward, puts blinkers on, drawn inside. You know, I mean, this horse has shown some speed in his last couple of starts. But like you said, there has to be some intent there. He's not going to make the lead without that being the point of it all. I will say this, Wolfie, a fun fact, Juilliard, the 1, did you know that you would have got this trivia question wrong, that Andy Serling and I were in the Juilliard building together one day? How about that?
Adjacent to the movie.
I would have bet my life that never happened.
Well, it's blocks from where we live, number one. It's in Lincoln Center. And the main Juilliard building is right around where the Walter Reed Theater is, which is the great one of the 3 great movie theaters in Lincoln Center. And I was there last night, actually, at the French Film Festival. Jonathan wasn't there, but we did go see the documentary Racetrack there together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which thumbs up?
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's like it's
80s?
throwback. But it's a great. It's all at Belmont Park.
Not enough MIG.
Yeah, not enough MIG. Just a few MIG
little
appearances.
shots of MIG.
Mig wanted to jump in on this Juilliard discussion, so we'll send it back to him.
Yeah, I mean, Juilliard was a school, so you know I was never going to be in that building except for in that film, albeit briefly, which is what I was in school, briefly.
This education came on the grounds of Belmont.
Well, the difference is that being in Juilliard means you have talent. So that precludes every one of us from being there because we have the racetrack and nothing else. But Juilliard is respected and well known.
Absolutely.
A music school as there is. I mean, a lot of very, very, very talented people came out of there.
And Juilliard is the favorite right now, 2-1 from that inside post for trainer Steve Hobby. As you look at the potential pace in here, Powerful's another one who has turf sprint speed, the 6. Ricardo Santana Jr., aggressive rider. We'll see if maybe this horse tries to go.
Maybe.
Yeah, he's just going the wrong direction.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with that. He just seems to be going the wrong way. But listen, once again, you never really know, and so much of it comes down to intention. These days, it used to be you could be pretty confident if you thought a horse was a speed. These days, you just don't know because it just seems like it's not as clear cut as it used to be.
I'm calling it the 2 on the lead. Anybody else want to jump in?
Who's riding? Manny's
Cutting
riding
back in
that horse?
distance?
Let's see what happens.
I'm not calling. I bet the 4, so I hope he's on the lead.
Matt Ditterman with the call. Here's the 4th from Oaklawn. Good luck.
The outside post, Western Command to round out the field. Here's Western Command. Go ahead. We're ready to go. Looks like Juilliard was a little stirred up in the gate. They're going to back him out and then reload Juilliard. 2-1 currently on the board. He's your current favorite, Juilliard, in fact. Veterinarian just taking a quick look here at Juilliard to make sure he's okay and gets the green light to compete. Juilliard reloads. Take 2. We're ready. And they're off. Juilliard was last out of the gate. He didn't break too slowly, but just a little bit hesitantly coming out of there. And Juilliard is in midfield trying to rush up down on the inside to be third. They're down the back stretch. Easy Action, neck in front. Market Street right there to the inside. Punches through, and he takes a short lead here. Easy Action right with him. And they open up 2.5, maybe even 3 lengths on Powerful, who's sent along a little bit between horses. Western Command 3 wide, and there's Juilliard in the pink jacket. He's down on the inside going into the far turn. Just Ask Watts is next. Aaron is shuffled back to the second last position, and he's 4 clear of Dalton's Rutro. who will have to pass them on 3 furlongs. Around the far turn they dash here. Battle continues on the lead. Market Street, easy action, 2 clear. Powerful, still sent along a little bit, but he's gaining ground in third, getting outside into the 3 path with a quarter mile more to go. Just Ask Watts is sent along on the fence. Western Command plotting in place. They're down the lane. Powerful has gotten a great trip here, and he comes looking for the lead. Aaron, Just Ask Watts, they're moving together. The early leader's starting to tire now. Powerful got the jump. Here comes Aaron with a late surge, but it looks like there's too much ground to make up on Powerful, who's going to find the wire in time. Powerful wins it. Ricardo Santana Jr. with 2 wins today. Aaron second best, then Market Street, and Just Ask Watts.
Powerful, tracking, sitting in a very good position early off that pace, and Ricardo Santana Jr. pounces late. David Jacobson first off to claim the win.
Tough to get a better trip than that, Jonathan.
5-1 winner as we get back to New York. To downstairs, check in for the first time today with Paul LaDuca.
Thanks, Greg. Beautiful day here at Aqueduct, too, as well. Just a little bit windy out, but not that bad. I thought it was actually a nice little chill here as we look at the late pick 4. This is race number 6 that starts it out. And, you know, Shlomo the 4 is the interesting horse in here. Blinkers go on, and basically I came into the paddock, and one of the valets came up to me and said, listen, the 4 worked like a beast with the blinkers on. I think that's why this horse is taking a lot of money, and I think some of the public thinks maybe the 8 can get away from this group in here as they're going towards the gate now, Greg. I like the 5 in here, Palace Boss. I think this horse can lay close enough with a good break. Needs to break as well as he did last time out, and he can sit a good trip. The 6 is a first-time gelding. I talked to Rudy Rodriguez because he's a big gelding. And I said, Rudy, what are you looking for? He goes, anything. I think he's a grass horse, but I don't know what I'm going to get from him today. I'm just trying to get anything out of him, Greg.
All right, Paulie, thank you. About to load up here. 8-5 favorite has become Shlomo, the 4.
Yeah, I like the 2 a little bit. He's got races that are good enough. He's second off a layoff, and I felt he faced tougher horses last time. He's turning back. I thought he was a little bit interesting as a price horse to get in there.
Nothing interesting for me. I'm hoping that Shlomo finds some of that form from 3 and 4 races back. If he does, he'll win. But it's a tough question at 8-5.
Are you guys surprised the disparity between the 4 and 5?
Yeah, it makes no sense whatsoever. But the thing is, the 4 is a horse that's always taking money, and the 5 is a horse that never takes money. Mm-hmm. That's the best explanation for it. But that's just sort of, that's why I've picked the 4 a couple of times, because he seems to be a horse that's always a better price than he should be. On the other hand, he's still a maiden. So that has not worked out.
Just like Shlomo, and again, way outfinished him last start. It was first off the bench for both of them. But Palace Boss, the 5, much better effort than Shlomo. We'll see what happens here in their second off the bench. Pick 4 starts here. Chris Griffin, the call.
Shlomo. Shlomo's in. Flying Frisbee to the outside. Flying Frisbee. Goes in. All set. And they're off. Shlomo's got early speed. Palace Boss is in that early mix. Is now going to take back as from the outside draws. Flying Frisbee and also Roofer. These 2 hook up early, and they are moving quickly. At the rail, it's going to be Shlomo, who's now embroiled in a 3-way battle for the front. It's 3 of them across the racetrack. None of them relenting, and they're going quickly. Towards the inside there is Roofer, to the outside Flying Frisbee. Now Shlomo is going to take back with less than 4 furlongs to travel through a 22-1 opening quarter mile. They are 5 lengths in front of In On It, who's alone in 4th. Trying to run on is 2 Honest Mischief, and Manny Franco, they're on the move. They're about to challenge and take 5th. This to the outside of Palace Boss. In between horses, Ready, Set, Twirl. The trailer sounds like fun. One more far back there is Arc Royal. They get set to reach the top of the stretch, and Roofer has the lead. Shlomo in pursuit, and Shlomo moves towards the outside to chase this leader. Roofer did all the heavy lifting, and Shlomo is ranging up to the outside. In On It's trying to make up some ground too. Some tired front runners up front. In On It is running out of time. It's Shlomo who's kicking away and has plenty so far. 2 Honest Mischief. In On It, they continue to give chase inside the final 16th. Shlomo hangs on. Shlomo wins it over. In On It, then came 2 Honest Mischief and a photo that sounds like fun with Roofer in 1 minute 13 and 3.
Those Silks in the winner's circle yesterday for the Jimmy Winkfield with T-Craft. Win here with Shlomo today. Belmont, Jose Lezcano.
Jose Lezcano made a great decision on the backside when they were 3 across the track to take back, let those horses go, and then at this point he decided to kind of re-rally. It was a very smart decision, and those decisions don't typically work out. When you find yourself in a duel, then you take back, it usually doesn't work well.
He was clearly best, because even though you're right, and he did that, and it worked out well for him, he still was in it enough, given how fast it was, and that's a very fast pace for this quality of horse, and you could see the race was really falling apart. Not quite enough for my horse to do any real running and here finishing 4th, but Shlomo was best today. A nice performance by the 7 in on it, who really looked a little slow, but not that bad, I guess. No show at all by the 5 Palace Boss, huh?
No, disappointing for Horacio to pause with that one. Did not back up that decent comeback effort. This one, though, does. Shlomo. Silks Einsiedler, trained by Belmont, blinkers on. And yeah, nice move. Jose Lezcano to back off that hot pace up front and then re-rally to break his maiden after a couple of runner-ups and forces. He's shown promise really throughout his career. Finally gets that first win.
Big weekend for Lee, winning the stake yesterday. He's getting ready. I think he's going to Dubai. No, he's probably going to Bayshore after that.
Okay.
But he's getting excited about the way he's
3 wins in a row for
Why
T-Craft.
shouldn't he? Why shouldn't he?
9-5 favorite here with Shlomo. 4-7-1-2. This horse breaks his maiden career start. Number 5. Jose Lezcano again aboard for that victory. Yes, points secured. On to that first Saturday in May. Unless there's a prep in between. The last horse Dwayne Lucas sent to the Derby, we're going to see later in the card actually at Oaklawn. But he's got one going with American Promise.
Spun to Run. His brilliant speed figures were among the fastest of any 3-year-old at a mile or more, and he hails from the legendary Danzig sire line. Now, this multiple graded stakes winner, millionaire, and Breeders' Cup champion is passing his remarkable talent along to his progeny.
Night Beacon airs at the home of Spun to Run's Breeders' Cup victory.
Spun to Run, standing at Gainesway.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
And clear off at the Naira Bets Haskell.
In the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga.
Dornock setting up moderate pace, 3/4 of a length ahead.
As the field turns for home.
They're at it again. The 2 Belmont first and second place finishers.
Mind frame on the outside. It's coming after Dornock.
Dornock wins the Haskell.
It will be Dornock to win the Belmont Stake.
This is my Oaklawn.
Back with you on our Sunday coverage, America's Day at the Races here on Fox Sports 2. It's brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Shlomo, Jose Lezcano, Belmont, Lee Einsiedler Racing, and this 4-year-old gets the first win of his career.
And as Jonathan said, and I agree, an excellent ride by Jose Lezcano, but he was still pretty much in the teeth of that pace, and this was kind of the race they've been waiting for him to run ever since his first couple starts, where, as you pointed out, Greg, he ran so well. Finally got it done here. I wonder if he kept his shoes today.
I would say that playing this horse based on what he had done prior to this without a change would be a little crazy. If it wasn't for the blinkers on, to have something to hold on to of how can we get back, Like, how can we forgive the previous performance? You know, I think that's the important part when you're trying to bet on a horse who has disappointed you over and over and over again. There has to be a change in order to do so.
$5.80 for the win. Maiden breaking victory as we move on to race 7. And this one a 1-turn mile. Starter optional claiming field. And Lou coming in from Gulfstream. Had to go against a really good one last time out. It's going to be softer company. River Thames, who won that race, just beating a neck in a fountain of youth behind Sovereignty.
Oh, weird seeing Lou at this big price. He's actually the second choice looking at the multi-race bets. The favorite is on the outside, Miles and Miles. And if you're dying to bet Miles and Miles, get up to Equestrius as quickly as you can, because I'd like to book every cent in that horse in every pool.
There's a bunch of people that come up here.
I'm ready. I got like $20, I think, in my pocket. Mitch Levitas is carrying my cash. He'll take care of it.
He's good for it, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Mitch, there's a man you don't mind. He's good for it. Good for something. I don't know what he's good for.
Derby Trail.
Not directing. I know that.
Rolling through Colonial yesterday. And Wayne Lucas back in the picture. We talked about it briefly before we were on the air. Not a lot of races running a mile and an eighth. Still, track record for the distance.
The game is better for having Wayne Lucas around, and Triple Crown is certainly more entertaining. And one thing about Wayne, they're going to run.
Well, the thing about it, too, with this horse is the Kentucky Derby is likely to be his 11th start, right? He'll probably run again in
this
between.
year?
Yeah, no, his 11th start throughout his career. That's a lot. That's a foundation. And like you talked about earlier, Andy, and you alluded to, is that, you know, Wayne's not going to take any prisoners. If he's got a horse who's forward, he's going to go forward. And it's going to make for the Kentucky Derby to be a very interesting race with Bob Baffert back in it. Obviously, he'll have horses that want to be forward. There'll be other horses from other parts of the country that want to be forward. The pace is starting to look pretty quick already at this point with this horse in there.
Dan produced Who's Your Filly for our buddy Tom Amos, who was a Grade 2 winner. By the Triple Crown winner Justify, of course. And this was Wayne Lucas, just his second ever starter and first since 2012 at Colonial.
Well, Wayne is not well known for having turf horses, though he did have Optimizer and Marlin in the past, but mostly Colonial started as a turf track, just not in March because they've never run there before.
Well, number 7 on that list is the one that everyone's kind of focusing in on right now, is probably the horse to beat that first Saturday in May, Journalism.
Though I did read on Twitter that he's already got the Triple Crown locked up, so I'm starting to look for other horses. Yeah, Twitter gets really preposterous. Racing Twitter around the Derby.
This
you ever notice
list,
it gets really crazy.
Points, it changes, doesn't mean much. This list does. This is Andy Serling's top 10 Kentucky
top
Derby
10
contender
throwouts
list.
for you. So if you're looking for the Derby winner, just throw them out and just go somewhere else. Well, I mean, to me, by the way, these are not opinions. These are, well, they're my opinion on who the leading horses are, not necessarily a bet. And if you don't have journalism right now at the top of your list, then it's not really rational, because he is the horse to beat at this point, even with Twitter hanging on him. Sovereignty, I've always had affinity for. I think he can get better. I'm going to be a homer a little bit, and I'm going to root for Captain Cook, but from what I've seen of him, he's been very impressive. The only change I made was American Promise. I replaced the horse who won the Gotham flood zone, because he's going to Dubai. And I get going to Dubai, and the owner's it's probably more about them, and it's a big purse, and, you know, I can understand that, but I would never want a horse at the Derby. It's going to Dubai, and American Promise deserves to be in that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the important thing about your top 10, and I'll speak for you because I know where you're coming from on it. This is not your top 10 horses you're going to bet.
No.
These are the top 10 horses at this point leading up to the biggest race in this country.
Yeah, and I could understand some people having an argument against a Chancellor McPatrick, who was disappointing in Tampa, and he's got to prove he can go longer. I don't want to give up on Burnham Square yet, or Sandman. I think they're sort of ones, but I think if you look at the top 6 in there, they're probably in most people's logical top 10.
Chancellor might be the one who's you have a little higher than most probably do.
And I don't think that, I don't have any problem with somebody says to me, I don't want any part of Chancellor McPatrick. I don't blame that. Part of the reason I left him higher is, honestly, Chad Brown really liked his race in Tampa a lot more than I did, and I think he's pretty optimistic. So out of respect for his opinion, I left him a little higher than I might have otherwise. It's not like I had somebody else I wanted to put in there, you know. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to put him below flood zone. He goes to Dubai. For me, he's written off the Derby, though, to be fair, We saw Forever Young come from there and do well last year, but he's not Forever Young.
No. Very few are. Upcoming road to the Derby, 100-point races are next. So the big ones kick off March 22nd. That's where we can see a horse who was actually entered for that Virginia Derby lineup, the undefeated John Hancock for Brad Cox.
This is when the Derby really starts to come into picture for me. I think you can get misled a lot of times, these mile and 16th races. I think the mile and 8th races are really where you start to separate who is the cream of the crop. And so these are my favorite ones to get involved with.
Yeah, I mean, once again, I always often say this, I'm old. I've been around a long time. I've been around when you knew who these horses were as 2-year-olds and you really learned who they were as 3-year-olds. It's very different now. They rarely, unless Wayne Lucas trains them, have the starts to sort of find out who they are. But you're right. These are the most important tests. Whether you have horses that lose that you feel can improve from them or they get exposed, some of these horses. And some of these horses on the list are going to get exposed over the next month.
Yeah, a mile and a 16th to a mile and a quarter is significant, right? And so when you can find a horse who can handle the mile and an 8th, then you can feel a lot more comfortable to handle the mile and a quarter.
Or a mile and 3/16 at Louisiana next week, though. Looking at that field going in, somebody's going to have to step forward in there to show me that they're a legit Kentucky Derby contender. Certainly possible.
Older horse division this year is incredibly exciting. Breeders' Cup Classic winner, he's getting set to make his return in New Orleans. We will talk about Sierra Leone and what his campaign could look like as he gets his starting point underway very soon.
The brilliance of the legendary Arrowgate and the speed and stamina of the sire of sires, Uncle Mo. Introducing Petulante, the first son of Arrowgate to stand in New York after winning handily at first asking.
Petulante! He's got a kick here, and he's going to prove much the best.
He won or placed in all 7 of his lifetime starts, including the Grade 3 Salvatore Mile.
Petulante, Nimbus class, Petulante!
Petulante, now standing in New York. For information, visit IHDVStallions.com today.
Back on our Sunday coverage, Breeders' Cup Classic winner set to make his return. I mean, how could you not like him in the Classic?
Well, I know. There's a guy sitting up at his desk, not named Jonathan or Andy, that didn't use him in his pick 5. I'm glad he's back. You know, I think one of the things about Sierra Leone, a couple things. One thing is he straightened his act out in the Travers. People didn't notice it because he didn't win. He was keeping a straight path. He just kind of grew up. He has never not run well.
No, he always shows up and runs. He made it a little bit tricky on himself. I think he probably left a couple wins out there with his
lack
antics.
of speed.
Yeah, but he's, and especially with some of these big races when you can get real paces to close into, he's always going to be dangerous, and especially at 1.25 miles. Especially at 1.25 miles.
So we've seen Locke come back and ran a big race. We saw Forever Young run a huge race over in Saudi. So we're starting to see these horses come back. We saw Mindframe. Now, Mindframe didn't run that impressively, but, it was his first start. He deserves another chance, and he is a good horse. You just don't know for sure. He gets back to his best races, and, we're hoping that Fierceness, obviously, is coming back soon. And with him coming back, we're starting, and Torpedo Anna as well, we're starting to set the table for some pretty exciting races, some of which could be in Saratoga.
The big names coming back, and they're holding or improving on that form. We'll see what what do you expect from Sierra Leone against this group he's going to line up against?
I thought there was some speed. I kind of glanced at the race. I mean, these horses can show natural progression. I think, Jonathan, you'll agree. One of the reasons we don't see those huge 115 to 120 something buyers very often anymore is all the good 3-year-olds retire, and they're not going to get better, especially as they're so lightly raced, till they get older. We saw what happened with the improvement in the Breeders' Cup. Why can't these horses start running the kind of figures we used to see in the days of old?
Well, the new poster child, for your point, are like Frosted and Gunrunner. They were good 3-year-olds, but they were sensational when they got older. And I think the same can be said about a horse like for Sierra Leone. We could expect him to take a step forward. And now that he's kind of grown up a little bit, he might be able to not be in his own way. He might even have a little bit more, not speed, but just have so much work to do early in his races.
And the idea of seeing the horses we mentioned, the rematch from the Travers, you throw in Locke, who never got a chance to run against him last year and could have been a huge player. It's just really exciting to think
Sierra
about.
Leone.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe
back.
Torpedo Anna.
Mindframe. I mean, I'm not saying, I don't think in a big race they'd be against running him and Fierceness against each other. It's not like their styles necessarily hurt each other. Mindframe can rate a little bit.
And the good news is, like you pointed out, Fierceness is back on the work tap. He worked 3 furlongs 3 days ago.
Great. So, I mean, in that being the case, you could see him in 6 weeks to 2 months. Maybe the Ali Shiva or something.
Older horse year we've had in a long time.
No, it's really exciting because these are good horses. These aren't fake good horses that won big races because the competition sucked. These are actually legitimate good horses. It's true, though. I mean, sometimes you see these horses and they win. It's like, oh, they're good horses. No, they're not really that good. These horses have a chance to be the kind of horses we've seen some years past that.
Absolutely.
Where very good horses are losing races because the competition's so tough.
Meanwhile, back to the 7th here at Aqueduct, 5 minutes away. That's a look at Shifty Gold. Chad Brown had only one start on dirt, and it was a win to break his maiden.
He is a horrendous favorite because he has to get better. It's the power of Chad Brown, and he won't be favored by post. But I thought he was a candidate to get better, but I wouldn't touch him under 5-1 or 6-1, Jonathan.
No, it's one of those deals, and it happens a lot at Saratoga where you have to decide. I have no problem singling a short price Chad Brown horse, but they have to check all the boxes because there's no value because everyone knows how many races he wins in New York.
And he's been struggling lately. Now, they saw a nice win for Catherine Wheel, who finally put it together as an 86 buyer. So, I don't think that barn's going to be cold forever, and maybe things are starting to turn around.
Now, the debut for this one came on synthetic. Start number 2 moves to dirt, comes from off the pace to get the win at Gulfstream, going 6.5 furlongs, and that will stretch out after those 2 sprints to a mile. That's a very good angle often, and you expect this barn to move them forward.
Yeah, I mean, he can move forward. I thought, the race was coming apart at the end, but I like the way he ran in there. He seems okay, but I'm with you, Greg, on Lou. I think Lou is supposed to be the favorite in this race. Jonathan, did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that Lou should be the favorite. I don't love that last race. And it's just, beaten 12. The figure didn't jump off the page. I understand that there's the runner-up in there from the Florida Derby.
Fountain of Youth, yeah.
Yeah, Fountain of Youth, excuse me. That wants to, get people excited when you see those running lines. Should be the favorite, but I wouldn't want to bet the horse.
Really? Okay. I also have a lot of respect for Amelia Green, somebody at some point we're going to talk about more in this show, who was an assistant to Todd Pletcher for a long time, has gone on her own. We saw her claim horse from Bill Morey and improve the horse yesterday, and that is no easy task. So I'm curious to see how things go for her. She's obviously good.
Well, post parade here coming up, and here again is Lou. So Amelia Green, taking over for a horse coming out of a race where River Thames would just miss against Sovereignty in the Fountain of Youth.
Yeah, I like this horse. I think just a needed class relief, a more realistic spot.
Ray Handel won with speed, run of the house.
Yeah, has some speed and has a little bit of an even running line that I think will appreciate stretching out.
I like his chances, this horse.
Chad Brown runner, undefeated on dirt, 1 for 1.
Right, he's an interesting horse to move forward, but you're taking the worst fit in price. I'd rather bet the 2 at 8 to 1 than him at 7 to 2.
Ruben Silvera on I'm Solo and in Love.
Just doesn't have a lot of early speed. He's going to have a lot of work to do.
Linda Rice and Kendra Carmouche team up, just licorice.
I left the horse in out of respect for Linda, and the last race wasn't that bad. It was just way over his head.
Cacao, big price, 38 to 1.
Yeah, the only win, got very fortunate to open up by 6 and had a slow figure that day.
That was at Parks at 21 to 1. McDiesel has Jose Gomez.
Yeah, I tried to make a case for him. He is off a little bit of a layoff, but he just looks too slow.
Best race might have come on turf, too. And then Miles and Miles, big step forward last time out, but may have been helped by a racetrack that was beneficial.
Andy is passionately against this horse. I'm sure he'll tell you about it before they get away from there.
Well, I mean, he's run a 28, and he ran a 31 and a 51 buyer. Then he got into Gold Rail and ran a 70. And Gold Rails at 2 turns can really pump up your figs.
Minute to post in this 7th. Let's go downstairs to Paul.
Yeah, difficult race to navigate. I mean, I like the 1 in here, Lou. We'll start with him on the rail. You know, he's a horse that was keeping busy a little bit in the paddock, you know, and coming here from Florida, you would think that the hot weather there, he would enjoy the cold weather. And it seems like he is. He's warming up very, very nicely. And you know, I thought he looked really well on the racetrack. You guys mentioned Amelia Green, just the way his ears were forward, and I just loved everything about him, to be honest with you. The other horse I did love was the 4, no point intended. I'm Solo in Love. I get it. The horse hasn't crossed the wire for her, so, you know, obviously that is a concern when you got like the 1 who's a 2-time winner. This horse has run some figs that are right there. Jonathan does make a good point that this horse maybe not be fast enough, but if they do have some speed up front, I would think the 4 would be there, one of the players. And then I was talking to Kendrick Carmouche, who's aboard the 5, and I said, you got a shot in here? And he was giving me a little bit of love, and he goes, listen, this horse is better with Lasix. He goes, I watched some of the replays, and I feel like maybe if the speed comes back to me, I'll be a player late in this race. And, Andy, if the 8 wins, hopefully nobody's coming up that elevator.
If they are, I'll send them to you, Paulie.
Miles and Miles, you know, look, massive improvement, 3-year-old debut, but a track was playing towards horses with his running style that day.
These are just the kind of horses that I bet against. You know, horses with big figures that are taking money off them, that have took advantage of a bias. If I'm wrong, I'll lose. But for the most part, this is how you make money at the racetrack, betting on horses taking money off a figure that looks better than it is because they were helped by a bias.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it's it's one of the things that I think there's still some meat on that bone in terms of handicapping. You know, I mean, everyone has speed figures. Some people know fast races. Everyone has replays, gets to see that. Workout reports now, being able to understand how horses are training in the morning. But the one thing I think that there's still a bit of an opportunity for is understanding track bias.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, people talk about bounce. Horses run a big race and they come back and they're going to bounce. It's an oversimplification to me. A lot of times when horses run big races, it's because circumstances led to it, or outlier big races because they got loose in the lead. They're a closer and they got a huge pace. You know, they took advantage of a bias, and they come back, and it's all likelihood the next time they run, they're not going to get those same circumstances, so they run much worse. People say they bounce and say, no, they actually ran kind of the same race. They just didn't have everything in their favor. That's how I look at it.
Well, favoritism has shifted back to Lou, as we expected here from the rail. Romero Mirage for Amelia Green, the only multiple winner in this field. And really, just more than that, for the last 5 starts for this horse has just run faster figures than really everybody in this group.
Got some good horses rated by merit. River Thames, I mean, he's not a Derby horse to me, but he's a good horse. I mean, he's a horse we could see in races like the Woody Stevens and Alan Jerkins for top pleasure.
We may still see him, though, line up.
No, we probably will see him in
Derby.
Derby prep, but I just don't see him as the kind of horse who can win the Derby.
Yeah.
But I think he's very good.
7th from Aqueduct. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Miles and Miles. Goes in. Closing the front of the gate. All set. And they're off. Good speed from I'm Solo and In Love from in between horses with Run of the House. They're a clear 1-2, and here's Run of the House to now assume command is a neck in front. Towards the far outside is McDiesel, who's in that early fray. I'm Solo and In Love is in between horses, is now sharing for the lead as they come out of the chute. Just behind them, another lineup of 3. Shifty Gold is in there. Miles and Miles is just tugging at Lescano. Wants to move forward, has a 4-wide run, has now taken 4th, very wide on the racetrack. Back to 5th. Shifty Gold is followed towards the inside by Lou. Lou is right in behind. Moving forward towards the outside, Cacao. And the distant trailer, Just Licorice. 4 across the racetrack, 23.36 for the opening quarter mile. At the rail, Run of the House is in front. McDiesel is challenging. Tugging the whole time was Miles and Miles. Out in the center of the racetrack is in the clear, is progressing nicely, 46.54 for the half-mile time. And here comes Miles and Miles is ready to challenge and now take the lead. Run of the House is all in towards the inside. McDiesel in between horses. Shifty Gold is trying to rally on. So is Lou, and Cacao at a big number is going to be wide. Miles and Miles is challenging. Run of the House, who's going to hug the rail and kick on. Run of the House is still there. Miles and Miles. Here comes the run from Shifty Gold down the center of the racetrack, and Lou is on the grandstand side too. It's Shifty Gold who starts to spurt away. Shifty Gold is in front. Can Lou run down Shifty Gold? Lou is wandering. Shifty Gold is running a straighter path. Just Licorice is rolling from far out of it. Inside the final 16th. Give it to Manny Franco and Shifty Gold to get the victory. Lou was second, Just Licorice. Cacao finished 4th in 1 minute 40 seconds flat.
I think the time to beat Chad Brown at this meet is over, officially.
It does feel like his barn's heating up. And I think what's interesting, Jonathan, is both of them were shippers from Florida. Captain Wheel would run at Tampa. This one would run at Gulfstream. And it used to be, back in the old days, when the Gulfstream meet was really, you know, it was like not Saratoga, but it was one of those kind of meets. And the meet ended in the middle of March. Those shippers from Florida would come to New York, and they just win daily. Hey, we're seeing it again.
To Oaklawn, race 5 mile on 16th, lower level, $12,000 maiden claiming group here, all trying to get that first win. 6-5 favorite, Meg. The 12 Sir Exton outside for Mike Stidham. Just missed at this condition last time out.
Well, he's got the best numbers, and he probably is the best horse, but he also has the worst post. And a horse that drew extremely well that's going to have to step up is the 1 Highway 20 ride. Now, maybe he just got in the right group, and he's got the inside post, and Keith Asmussen, who's been riding extremely well, takes advantage of that. And I could see this horse running an improved race because of the company he's keeping today. The 3 Archie Road, a horse that sprinted, broke slowly, actually rallied, has a physical appearance of a horse that'll appreciate stretching out. He is a half to a horse that we're familiar with in New York. Horoscope, who was effective going longer, and he's very well turned out at a big price, so I thought I'd have to mention him. Horse I really like is the 4 Vaden for John Ortiz, short leaf stable, John Ed Anthony. He, to me, is the second best horse on paper, and he's just got a much better draw than your favorite. And you get Ramon Vasquez, who I think has been riding in terrific form here. And that brings you to the favorite, Sir Exton. He looks great. He's well turned out. He's trained by a top conditioner. He's outfitted with cheek pieces. They're just a fleece cheek piece that goes along the side of the bridle. It inhibits a horse's peripheral vision a little bit instead of a blinker. And, you know, horses can see behind them being a prey animal. They want to see if any predators are coming, and just kind of keeps the horse's attention a little bit, not worrying about what the rider's doing so much. And, guys, it's really got nothing to do with, you know, who you like in a race, but some little details that I find very interesting that I'm going to share. Keith Asmussen, as well as his brother Eric, they tie the same knot. When I say a knot, you measure off the length of your reins to the horse's neck, and then you tie the excess leather past the rubber of the part of the reins into a knot. And they tie the same exact knot that their uncle Cassius Musin ties, that Angel Cordero tied, and that's who I learned it from, Angel and Cash, and the knot I tied. And I just find that stuff fascinating that it carries on generation through generation.
think Richie's useless minutia is better than my useless minutia.
He has some good. He has some good info.
Yeah, I think he wins the useless minutia battle.
What did you guys look? It's a short stretch here too, at this mile and 16, JK, and Sir Exton with that far outside post, going to have to try and save some ground. So Francisco Arrieta is going to have some work cut out for him.
It's just tricky. I mean, the race the 12 ran last time absolutely wins this race. I thought the 9 could have been interesting. That's a scratch. Everyone else feels a little bit slow. I tell you who I wouldn't play, and that's the 4, who's the second choice right now at 2-1. I don't think that horse ran particularly well last time. It wasn't a great group. The race kind of fell apart a little bit. He had a little trouble, but I thought it was a little bit dressed up because he had pace to close into. So although he was stopped a little bit, there was a lot of pace for him to still close into.
I agree with that. The problem is that he is dropping a lot. But what is to say that he really wants to run long? But the one time he ran long, he ran against a different world of horses in these. And I obviously agree with what you said about the 12. He's just got to overcome that post. And if he does overcome it, he's probably going to win. I just didn't have anybody clever. Either the 9 was interesting. He scratched.
Dropping class, though, for that 1, Highway 20 ride. We'll see if that makes a difference for Team Asma's and son Keith in the irons. Let's go to Matt Ditterman for the call.
Takes his spot. They've loaded Vaden. The Hit King Rose. The Hit King Rose coming up. Go we get Cruising Control second to last, and Sir Exton to round out the field. We're ready to go. And they're off. Ranch Hand gets the first call of the race, is Prominent. Highway 20 Ride on the inside, aggressively ridden to show forward position. And Highway 20 Ride is naturally quickest, leads the way, in fact, as they go into the first turn run. Highway 20 Ride, the leader here by a length and a tail. Ranch Hand second, Vaden third, right off the pace in third, down on the inside. A length and a half back to Sir Exton, the favorite, placed fourth today, just ahead of Butch, who's tugging pretty hard here in the 5th spot, with More Money Mo approaching the backstretch. Arky Road settling in midfield, 2 better than all green lights. Cruising Control is next. The Hit King Rose not hustling in the second last position, and Big Andy Mort is at the back of the pack. They're down the backstretch. Ranch Hand 43-1 with Kelsey Har leads the way, a length and a tail. Highway 20 Ride backs off. He was in second on the first turn. He was up on the pace, and now he's second in a pocket. Vaden just passed him, in fact. Vaden claiming second. Highway 20 Ride third to the inside of him. Sir Exton patiently ridden fourth as they corner into the far turn run. Arky Road is next. Big Andy Mort from last has made a very early move, but he's up to claim third. He's passed a number of horses here. Big Andy Mort, let's see if he can sustain that rally. He's hard sent 3 wide. The others have got to pick it up. Coming to the top of the stretch, Ranch Hand has a wall of challengers behind him. Vaden takes a short lead. Ranch Hand is under pressure. Arky Road right behind the leaders, searching for racing room. Sir Exton grandstand side being asked to pick up the pace as they swing off the corner. Vaden the leader. Sir Exton bearing down for the final furlong. Vaden fighting hard from the inside. Narrow lead. Sir Exton outside right there. These two slugging it out with a 16th to go. Sir Exton and Vaden going at it here. Sir Exton with the better finish. Sir Exton to win it by 3 parts of a length. Vaden second. Photo for the show to Ranch Hand in Highway 20 Ride.
Sir Exton too good for this group. Tremendous week for Francisco Arrieta continues.
Got good position early, and that was really the key. It felt like the 4 was loaded top of the stretch. Vasquez hadn't answered, but just could not hold off the favorites.
I certainly have no interest in being a Monday morning quarterback, but I wonder if the 4 would have had a better chance if he wasn't sitting so chilly and he would have engaged and gone on and opened up, because I feel like the 12 just had momentum on him.
Maybe.
You know?
I don't love that kind of riding, but I don't know. I thought he had every chance personally.
I agree.
Sir Exton, your favorite, with a win. Mike Stidham, Francisco Arrieta. Meanwhile, a horse who was pointing to that Virginia Derby, opting instead to go for the 100-point race at Fairgrounds. Louisiana Derby next weekend. What will we get from the undefeated John Hancock? Stay with us.
How magnificent was Full Count Felicia. Never in doubt.
Washington on the outside.
They're coming down to the line, and Goliad does it.
Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Enhance your handicapping with AI Fast Facts, exclusively on Naira Bets. Open your Naira Bets app, click View Runner Details, and a stat-driven fact will appear for all U.S. thoroughbred racehorses. Download the Naira Bets app to start using Fast Facts today.
General admission tickets are on sale now for the Belmont Stakes on June 7th at Saratoga Racecourse. Don't miss your chance to witness the historical third leg of the Triple Crown. Get your tickets today by visiting belmontstakes.com/tickets.
The only colt ever to win 3 one-mile Grade 1s on dirt. Ran the fastest buyer of the year. That's him, 6 wide, streaking clear.
Here comes Cody's
2 more Grade 1s at 7/8. Here's his forego, also running a 112 bite. That's 5 Grade 1s all told. No other son of Sires Curlin has so many. They say, be careful what you wish for. We agree.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Back with you on our Sunday coverage here on Fox Sports 2. You're watching America's Day at the Races with our main events coming up here in New York and out in Hot Springs as well. Wind is blowing pretty good today here in South Ozone Park.
And that's one of the reasons we moved the races up. The wind blowing, some issues with fog and different things. Pretty windy, so it's getting worse too.
Looks beautiful out there. What are you talking about?
I love that brown grass in the infield.
Shifty Gold remains perfect on dirt. Now 2 for 2 for Chad Brown, Flanagan Racing.
Yeah, this horse is clearly improving. Now, I don't want to call him a world beater, but I think it's a good example. He's getting a chance. He's 2 for 2 on a dirt course. And, you know, Lou had every chance to catch him. He was just best.
Yeah, no, he sure did. I mean, right here, I thought there's a second and a half he was going to. He's on his wrong lead there. I don't think that made a difference. He just wasn't getting to the 3. The 3 was finishing his race.
Impressive. Manny Franco, Chad Brown against Flanagan Racing. Handles the stretch out as well. Handles winners, handles better company. All of it. And the upside continues for this lightly raced 3-year-old. $9.70 for the win. Lou winds up second. And Just Licorice checks in third as we move on to race 8. And this is a good one. Entry-level allowance, 6.5 furlong sprint. 7-2 is your favorite right now. That is Antonio of Venice, who had some very big races early in his career.
Yeah, one of the things that's interesting is him, when he was earlier in his career, he was a speed. Is he still a speed? Because if he's not, isn't What's Up Bro a real threat to wire this field?
No, absolutely.
I was asking you, Jonathan.
No, I know, especially
Okay,
from the
making
inside with Kendrick Carmouche. We talked about earlier on the show intent. You have Kendrick, you have a speed horse, you have the rail. You'd like to think they'd be sent away from
He is going, especially after the debacle last time.
That horse right there. At one time, he was on the Derby Trail, second in the Sam F. Davis, third Tampa Bay Derby, but now Shipsational is trying to make a name for himself sprinting.
There's a big, bold, beautiful world waiting to be explored by you and your friends, of course. But not just any friends, the best of friends. The kind of friends who let you do you. Because in this world, it's positive vibes only. And when you get in the zone here, you stay a while. These aren't just good times, they're the best of times. And your time is now. So come explore. Resorts World.
Back on our Sunday coverage on Fox Sports 2. You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Gainesway Farm. Power, passion, performance. Good one coming up in this 8th. Favorite is 7-2 right now. There's a look at what's up, bro, and will this one be out in front? Linda Rice, Kendrick Carmouche team up with a horse who bobbled a bit out of the gate last time out, and that compromised his chances trying to be in front early. It was a first start back off a long time away.
Yeah, and I don't know what was going on. I don't know if Jose Lezcano was under instructions to rate him. I don't know why you would rate a horse that's only run really well when he's been in front. But I've never seen Jose Lezcano fight a horse like this in my entire life. He had to be under instructions because he just doesn't ride like this. And this looks bad, to be honest. What is he doing? And it's just not the Jose Lezcano that we've seen. I've never seen him do this.
I hear your point about the instructions, but it's like Linda's not necessarily. She's no Brad Cox or Bob Baffer when it comes to sending, but she's not one that's taking speed away from horses.
This is crazy. I don't know what the plan was, and frankly, he actually kept finishing. A lot of horses will throw the towel in the towel, and this is a horse who has run some very fast races when he's been allowed to be the main speed, and I think there's a real chance he's going to control this race from start to finish. I picked him second.
Well, you make the rider change to someone like Kendrick, you know, and like I'm not trying to jump on the Kendrick's a speed rider guy. He can do everything, but he does do that very well.
He does. I just don't understand what was going on here because I feel as though has Jose ridden this horse in the past? No, he really hasn't. I don't know. Maybe he just had a different plan, but this is a horse that clearly needs the lead to be effective.
7-2. He's the favorite right now from that inside post. Others that you think could pressure him early?
Well, I think the two showed more speed than expected last time. Maybe Lane Luzzy shows speed again. Obviously, Antonio Venice can show speed, but I wonder if after his last race, if they're going to be a little bit less aggressive with him. I suppose Master of Arms could really go, but he's not really fast enough. The one is quick, and I think if he really wants it, we're going to see him in front.
Yeah, but the one concern I would suppose, especially with the one being the favorite now at 7-2, and a 7-2 favorite, it's like it's like at the Kentucky Derby.
4-1 was the morning line favorite, so that's what David saw.
The 2 is going to pressure the 1, I think, to a certain extent. He's going to have to earn it. If the 1 wants to make the lead, which I think there's no, you have to do that. You can't take back with this horse. You have to go, and you have to just let the cards fall where they may. I think there's going to be some pace pressure for the 1 with the 2, and frankly, maybe even, you know, the 3 or the 4 have a little bit of early speed as well.
Sensational, the 4 in the background there. Been in very sharp form. He has not won in a while, though, but he is coming off 2 of his really better races of his 23-race career.
I was shocked to read in Daily Race Form Dave Grenning's article that Eddie Barker, his trainer, loves him today. Eddie loves about 90% of the horses he starts. A good guy and a good trainer as well. And this horse has not won a race since the Sleepy Hollow as a 2-year-old, so it's been 3.5 years. But I'm not going to disagree with what he said. I think he's in career form right now.
Yeah, I've always wanted to like this horse. You know, he had he had the nice win as a 3-year-old and kind of got himself into the mix there, and then he's just been so disappointing. I've tried to play this horse a lot. I'm going to go 1 stall to the outside with him with the 5 contrary thinking, excuse me.
I picked him too.
This horse ran very well on debut, and I think he's going to be tough in here.
Now the 1, what's up, bro? Again, speed inside, went by. Here's Ignite the Light.
Yeah, Ignite the Light is one I think is going to pressure the 1 to the inside to make this a very interesting pace.
Iridescent, 2 starts back on a wet track, had a monster performance.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from, but if he runs it again, he's a huge player. I'm against it, but I can see it.
Shipsational in big-time form right now. Will today be the day?
He can absolutely win. This horse has disappointed me personally too many times to lean on him here.
Lightly raced for Chad Brown and a long time away. Contrary thinking.
I do like this horse as well. I don't like 7-2 and would want a bigger price, but he should get maybe the right kind of trip, and I think he's run well in both his starts.
Outlier performance. It was huge last start for Moorstride.
Yeah, it was lifetime best, but there's really no change there that makes me feel like I can trust it.
Antonio of Venice, blinkers coming off 4-1.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some speed as well. He's drawn towards the outside. He's going to be able to work out a nice trip no matter what happens.
Yeah, and a horse has been popular in the claim box. He's now with Mike Maker, Master of Arms.
I mean, he's another contender in here at a solid price on the outside. He's been in great form. Doesn't hurt to go to the Maker barn.
Well, we just saw Chad Brown win with a very lightly raced 3-year-old. Now contrary thinking. Career start number 3, Paulie, as he comes off the long time away.
Yeah, he does. And you guys were mentioning about Chad Brown's barn is really heating up. And, you know, this horse is the favorite when it comes to the Will Pays in the pick 3s and the daily doubles. So obviously he's been working well. In the morning, the son of Into Mischief, first time gelding, he looked tremendous, warming up at least and going out to the racetrack. When you look at some of the other runners in here, you know, I wanted to pick Shipsational, the 4, but it's really just tough to endorse a horse 0 for 13 over this racetrack. And like you guys mentioned, hasn't won in some time, but like you guys said, in very good form. I think that he'll sit a little bit farther back than usual today and make his one run. You know, Andy makes a good point. You know, I do think the 2 maybe can stay on top of the 1, remains to be seen. But the 1 and the 2 both have had gate problems before. So one of those 2 horses is going to have to get out of the gate, or if both of them get out of the gate, then maybe we'll see some endorsed speed. I landed on the 9 on the outside. I just feel like, you know, the horse warmed up great. You know, when you go back and you look some of this horse's races, his better races have been on the outside. It seems like when he gets inside horses, he doesn't really like it. He's got a win from the 10-hole. He's also got a win from the 6 out of 6. So I thought he was warming up just fine. Like Andy said, I think he's getting a tremendous price. I never thought, Greg, I'd get 5-1 on the 9 in there.
Well, there's the selections. Andy, JK agree with the public right now.
I don't want the 5 at 3-1. I think the 5 is a dramatic underlay at 3-1. Now he's 5-2. Maybe he's training well, and that's why. But I'm sorry, this is way too low a price. I think the 1 is a better bet at a bigger price.
Yeah, but he's not that much bigger.
But he's bigger, and I'm not sure he's not more likely to win.
I know.
There's just several horses though with more recency, right?
Yeah.
That you're taking.
I understand.
A lot of it's Chad Brown.
But I think when in a field like this, where the top 5 choices are within a point of each other, I think you're supposed to just pick the winner. I think you're supposed to just pick the winner.
I look at things as prices, and I think, you know, I picked this race. How did I pick this race?
A lot of times.
I think I picked the race 5-1-4. Now, none of them are particularly big prices. The 2 is probably a bit of an overlay.
Do you want the 4 at
7-1.
9-2 versus the 5, who you think's going to win at 3-1?
No, but I don't not want him. I think it's very fair. I'm going to be honest. I think Ignite the Light, the 2, is an overlay at 7-1.
A lot of times, the price will lead you to a winner.
I think it does.
A big overlay.
You've got to now. I don't think any of these are massive overlays, but I think the 5's an underlay at 3-1. And I like the 5's chances, but I don't think 3-1's any bargain. I'm not betting.
Intriguing race. A lot of talent in here signed on. 6.5 furlong sprint coming up. First allowance condition. Let's go to Chris Griffin.
Master of Arms to the outside. Master of Arms goes in. All set. And they're off. War Stride has early speed from in between horses. Also, Antonio of Venice wants to be close up early. At the rail, What's Up Bro with Ignite the Light. And now What's Up Bro is in front, is up by a neck. Ignite the Light, stalking from second, 3 wide, tight hold. Romeo Mirage on Antonio of Venice. At the rail in fourth is going to be Iridescent. Center of the racetrack is Master of Arms is a tracking 5th. In behind them comes War Stride, who broke with the leaders, is towards the tail end of the field with Contrary Thinking and Shipsational. They work into the far turn, 22.56 for the opening quarter mile. And What's Up Bro is doing it nicely. What's Up Bro just gliding along, is up by a length and a half. Ignite the Light gets the cue here from Lane Luzzy, starts to move in closer. Here comes Antonio of Venice with the rally. Wide run for Master of Arms, but is making up ground. Also trying to stay in there is War Stride, and from the back, Contrary Thinking starts to move in closer. They've got to get to What's Up Bro, who went 45-3 for that half-mile time, and Ignite the Light is now taking command. But Antonio of Venice is ready to pounce in the center of the racetrack. Master of Arms is chasing that rival too. Ignite the Light is ahead in front, and Antonio of Venice is battling on towards the outside. Here comes Master of Arms joining them. 3 across the racetrack. Antonio of Venice in between horses. Ignite the Light, Master of Arms. It's a photo finish. Maybe Ignite the Light came back, re-rallied towards the inside, is in a photo with Antonio of Venice. Master of Arms is in there as well. In 1 minute 18 and 1.
Ignite the Light. Looks like he got this one. Let's take another look right at the wire. That nose in front, he did.
And I'm going to tell you something. He ran extremely well because he was the closest in attendance to the one in here who, completely fell apart. And this race felt like it was sort of falling apart, and he gutted it out. And I said it before the race. I thought of the contenders. He was the biggest overlay. Contrary thinking, looked like he was making a movie. Totally flattened out and shipsational. Did he even appear?
No, he was nowhere. The 2, the 8, the 9 all involved, but yeah, the 8, 9 never got a nose in front of this guy.
He was best, though. To me, he was in close attendance of a pace that was falling apart. I thought he ran super to win this race. This horse is really, really stepped forward for Michelle. Evan. Michelle, right?
Rick Dutrow.
Rick Dutrow is close. I'm sorry, for Rick. No, this horse ran very, very well and has improved dramatically in the last 3 races and should never have been 7-1.
2-8, 9-1 finish. Yes, 7-1 here. Ignite the Light for JMS Stable. Lane Luzzy for the Dutrow barn, who still has Captain Cook in waiting for the Wood Memorial on the road to that first Saturday in May. Ignite the Light, gritty effort to pull this one out in the 8th.
And here's Tama in the final stages. The Santa Anita Derby goes to Tama. It's Tama, absolutely terrific, winning Malibu by 4 widening lengths.
Adelphi Racing Club offers the unparalleled excitement of owning thoroughbred racehorses at a fraction of the cost. We're not just a syndicate, and our members aren't just investors. We are partners. Our New York-based high-performing equine athletes, trainers, and jockeys compete and win at the highest level circuits. Contact us online to get a taste of the Adelphi difference, and let's win races together.
Here comes CZ Rocket up the rail. Jackie's Warrior. Elite Power on the far outside. And Elite Power gets up to win the sprint. CZ Rocket was second. Jackie's Warrior settles for 3rd today.
The power of Juddmonte.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Good to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon. Our winner, Fasig-Tipton, winner circle lead-in. It is Ignite the Light. Getting the money. Fasig-Tipton winner circle lead-in brought to you by the March Digital Sale. Bidding now open. Closes Tuesday, March 18th. Learn more at digital.fasig-tipton.com. This one guts out a win over Antonio of Venice and Master of Arms under Lane Luzzy.
I thought Lane rode this horse well. He got position, but he didn't get in a battle with What's Up Doc, and he came to him, and it felt like the cavalry was coming. It looked like our horse was going to sweep by everybody, and he totally stalled mid-stretch. This was a game win.
Yeah, had a ton left in the stretch, and like you said, that happy medium by staying forward, but still reserving something. Right here, I thought the horse was passed.
So did I. I thought he'd be 3rd. I mean, the 9 had every chance to get by. Antonio of Venice had every chance to get by. It was a very game effort by him. And, you know, he didn't win the Bob. he actually at that point had already sort of reestablished himself.
Well, you can see where the rider, you can see when you, when you look at those situations, where the rider is, you can usually tell. And the rider of the two was in front, so it wasn't like a Bob situation, like you said.
$309 pick 3, usually a very good telltale sign of this is going to be a well-paid pick 5.
There are 1s and 2s in the pick covered, 1 ticket or 2 ticket, and there are 2 horses not covered. I think the 3 and somebody else. I don't remember well.
This race, 6 furlongs, $15,000 claiming group. And it's the 7 right now, My First Love. Linda Rice claiming off of Rob Atris. Favored right now with Jose Lezcano.
I mean, honestly, looking at this race, My First Love is the horse to beat on the drop down, but I don't think there's a lot of horses can win here. Though the 2, the 4, the 6, the 7 all have a chance.
Hot Springs, race 6. Oaklawn started their late pick 4. Mile and a 16th. Fillies and Mares 4 and up. $12,000 claiming tag. Non-winners of 2 since November 16. The condition here as we look at Star's Dream.
Just looks overmatched. Moving up too.
Yeah, 18-1 with Isaac Castillo. Little Town Sis. Steve Asmussen with son Eric aboard.
Yeah, the turf experiment didn't go well last time, but there was some good dirt races prior to that.
The reigning Eclipse Award-winning Apprentice there in the irons for Dad. Right Trap, big price.
Yeah, I mean, I just did have the mud last time, but just looks too slow.
Same could be said for this one, class code.
Yeah, broke slow last time, was wide all the way around there as well.
Had a great 2024. 5 for 10. Here's She Be Sheehan, who will stretch out.
Yeah, another horse who's stretching. We'll see. The trainer has pretty good numbers stretching. I just didn't like this horse.
Gate to wire win for Marina's Gold last start.
Yeah, but it's on a muddy racetrack, so I don't trust it.
Blaze on Francisco Arrieta.
What do you do with a horse that's claimed for $35,000 and runs for $12,500? He can win, but man, that's tough to stomach.
Huge drop. That is a red flag. Ship It, Tyler Bacon for Scott Becker.
Yeah, took no money last time, did no running.
Another stretch out runner there. The 9, Baby Gundon.
Listen, moves up of a win, second off the claim, but the last race is good enough in this race.
That's your favorite right now. And then the 10, Legally Lucky at 10-1.
Once upon a time, but then currently has been going the wrong direction.
Once upon a time, I had hair, Jonathan.
3 minutes away. This 6th at Oaklawn. Once upon a time, Mig was winning all the races here in New York.
Yeah, that was a very long time ago. I can't believe it's been over 15 years since I actually rode races. But we'll start with the 2-horse guys. Little Town Sis, Steve Asmussen runner, well turned out, employs his son Eric. It must be such a great feeling for Steve to use his sons and win races with him. Eric getting his first graded stakes win yesterday with Booth, who just is in raging form and maybe threw his hat in the ring as one of the better sprinters that we have this year. But she looks great. I feel like her form's a bit dirtied up between maybe being a little bit overmatched and then trying turf, and I just think she gets down to an appropriate level today. The sorry guys, my notes are blowing around. The 7-horse, Blaze On. Now, this horse does take that precipitous drop in class, was claimed for $35,000, but it is also owned by End Zone Athletics, which is Carl Broberg, who is known to do this kind of thing, just drop horses and try to get the money. I'm with Andy. I can't, really endorse a horse taking that kind of a drop. But, again, it's not so far out of the realm for these connections to do this kind of thing. The 8, Ship It, looked outstanding. I really liked what I saw of this daughter of Mitch Shipman, and you get Tyler Bacon. Unfortunately, Tyler Bacon loses his bug at the end of the month. I wish he would have had his bug an entire the year because that would have put him in a good position to be an Eclipse Award winner. But this is a kid that, again, you guys know how impressed I am with him. And this horse is a big price, and I would be remiss not to talk about a horse at a big price that I really like the way it looks. And then the 9-horse, Baby Gundon, would be my top selection. I think well drawn. You get Ramon Vasquez. I think she's going to be in a decent spot, probably mid-division early. As long as she can avoid getting caught wide into the first turn, which is always a concern of mine. It's something I think a great deal about. Obviously, we saw the 12-horse overcome it in the last race, so not something that's insurmountable.
All right, Mig, thank you. He is the president of that Tyler Bacon fan club, young rider who has made a major impact here in Hot Springs.
Listen, he's having a terrific meet, and it's a good story. Apprentices are always interesting stories. It's just very, very hard to go from being a top apprentice to making it work as a journeyman. We've seen some really, really sensational apprentices that just don't make the turn, and a lot is agent and opportunity, but obviously he's taking advantage of all the opportunities now and running very well.
Well, we've all spent a lot of time with Richie, and one thing you'll know about him, even not sitting next to him, just watching him on the show, he takes a lot of pride in his career, and he takes a lot of pride in the profession that he was so good at. And for him to feel and to express his excitement about a young rider, he doesn't take that lightly. He's not throwing around compliments because it's he wants to be nice to the kid.
I think it's because he wants to take him to Saratoga.
He'll also tell you when someone's terrible. And the fact that he has this high of expectations for this young rider, I think it says a lot about the kid's talent.
Well, he's not the only one, too. I mean, Dwayne Lucas has taken a shine to him as well. He's put him on some major mounts in some big-time preps.
He's riding very well there. I have no knock on him. We'll see what happens when he loses the bug. It's just, it's not that I don't trust his skills. It's just, I've seen apprentices in the past. I'll give an example. Pablo Fragoso, when he was apprentice here, and I'm going back about 20 years, I thought he was a cinch to be a real journeyman. And it just gets harder. You don't get the business. It doesn't work out. For every guy like Irad or Richie, Jose Ortiz, there's a lot of apprentices that have fallen by the wayside.
Well, again, Mig had mentioned that apprenticeship and that weight allowance going to come to an end here towards the end of this month. So then he becomes a journeyman. And what's the plans moving forward, Mig?
Well, from what I understand, and this is not set in stone, that Tyler's looking to go back to Prairie Meadows for the summer after he loses the bug and this meet ends. And honestly, guys, I believe that's a mistake. To continue to improve and get the education you need, you got to continue to ride with good riders. Now, it is difficult. It's hard to compete and get the prime mounts when you're riding with top riders, but that's how you're going to continue to learn and get better. When I had the bug, I won 298. The next year, I won 107. The following year was the worst year of my career. I won 65. And people were telling me, go to Maryland, go to New Jersey, go to Delaware, try an easier circuit. And all I did was grit my teeth and continue to work hard. The next year, I won 150. The following year, I was leading rider again. You have to take on a challenge. If you want to make a living and do well and make a good living, you'll, ride at a lower level track. If you want to be a champion, you got to meet those challenges head on. I think he would be better served to continue to ride probably Churchill Downs and ride with top riders. You're going to raise your game that way.
What I would add to what Richie's saying is he can always go back to Prairie Meadows. He can always go if things don't work out, but getting the experience. And I think, listen, Richie obviously has the experience and the credibility that his opinion matters a lot. But I think Richie's point is these guys can always go back to the smaller circuits. Take a shot as things are going now. Now, maybe he goes there and he doesn't get any business without his book. Find that out, though, and then make your decision.
But I think the key thing he's talking about, too, there is something to competing with some of the better riders that is going to force you to raise your game and make you better, isn't it?
I think that's a great point, Jonathan.
Yeah, I'm 100%. I think it's you get complacent. A talented basketball player playing with a bunch of 5-6 guys. It doesn't matter how good he is. You're limited. You don't learn to overcome adversity, to work through things, to find out where you're deficient. It makes total sense to me.
6th from Oaklawn. Tyler Bacon on the 8 ship it here, the stretch out runner, one of several for Scott Becker in this spot. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
Coming forward next. Baby Gundon is loaded, one back. Legally Lucky to the outside post. Still working with Legally Lucky to take her spot. Going to try one more time here with Legally Lucky. The others standing patiently in the gate waiting for Legally Lucky to load in. We begin our late pick 4 here. Legally Lucky still a bit reluctant. 2-1 for number 9, Baby Gundin. 8-5 for number 7, Blaze On. First off the claim for End Zone Athletics and Abel Ramirez Rodriguez. They're still working with Legally Lucky. They're going to open the front of the gate here to help her go in. Legally Lucky. Sometimes when they open the front of the gate and the horses see daylight, that helps them get in there a little more comfortable. So Legally Lucky, assistant starters there, still behind the gate, working with Legally Lucky. Going to try her in one more time here. The rider's still aboard. Amanda Poston. Still looking at Legally Lucky here, just looking at the front of the gate, going to try to get her in. The rider's going to hop off here, Amanda Post, and that maybe will help Legally Lucky as well. Sometimes that does the trick with the horses going into the gate. I guess this would be a good time to plug in that in 2 weeks, not this coming Saturday, but next Saturday, our big one, the Arkansas Derby, will be run here for $1.5 million. A number of stakes on Arkansas Derby Day, along with 2 stakes on Sunday and 2 stakes on Friday. So we're looking at 11 stakes races in total that weekend. Friday through Sunday, that's in a couple weeks' time. Still working with a Legally Lucky here. She's about a quarter of the way in. She's been stubborn to say the least, Legally Lucky, and the others are waiting very patiently in the gate here for Legally Lucky. She's in about a halfways here. Really being stubborn, just needs to get in there just a little bit more. And there we go. Legally Lucky now in the gate. Amanda Poston going to climb back aboard. A roar from the crowd as she went in there too. Well done by our gate crew there. Blue and his crew ready for the start of the late pick 4. And we're ready to go. And they're off. Uneventful beginning. She Be Sheehan and the Big White Blaze has the lead with 1 lap to go. Ship It taking second with Blaze On. Not a great deal of pace early on as She Be Sheehan leads the way. Not at a fast pace going into that turn. Ship It second. Blaze On third, tucking in right behind. And Littletown Sis is down on the rail on the heels of the leader around the turn. Legally Lucky parked 3 wide on the course, advancing position right now to claim the 3rd position and come after those leaders. We come back to Class Code in midfield. A length and a half clear of Baby Gundin. Star's Dream to the inside. Right Trap, second to last early, and Marina's Gold can only see backside as the 10 runners swing up the backstretch. Contentious tempo. Legally Lucky on the outside speeds up the pace. Ship It between horses with a head lead. She Be Sheehan right there on the scene, and these 3 are stretched across the track with a half mile to go. There's a gap of 2 to Blaze On, placed 4th, and she's racing alone, a length in front of Class Code, who's making up a little bit of ground going into the far turn run. Right Trap trying to move forward 5 wide as they start to pack up the first 9 anyway. On the far outside, here comes a big run. Baby Gundin's trying to move behind a wall of horses. Marina's Gold from last is also circling the field, and the early leaders start to tire here. Legally Lucky out of the early 3 is the only one that's sticking around here, and it's Legally Lucky battling for the win with Class Code as they come off the corner. Blaze On tips outside, is ready to go now. Blaze On at the top of the lane, and here comes Blaze On down the center of the course. Blaze On rolling on towards the lead. Marina's Gold made that early move, is tiring, and Baby Gundin up the inside. Baby Gundin finding good strides down on the fence with Ramon Vasquez. Needs to catch Blaze On, who keeps fighting on the outside. Blaze On, Baby Gundin. Blaze On out finishing Baby Gundin to win it. 3rd home was Legally Lucky. Photo for 4th, Littletown Sis and Class Code.
Francisco Arrieta, he had a 5-win day on Friday. A couple of wins yesterday and a couple today as well. He's rolling. Blazon gets that win. Post-parade, 9th to close things out here in New York. Lady Zeta kicks things off.
I mean, you look at a board that's fairly wide open, and she's 8-1. I just don't love her moving up. I don't like horses off Penn National wins. They rarely repeat here.
10-time winner. She does have speed from the inside here. Spiritual Lady blinkers come off Rudy Rodriguez.
Yeah, just not fast enough. We'll need to improve for Rudy.
Jackie the Joker, Carol Cedeno.
Not going to take a horse off the claim from Rick Dutrow, rank outsider.
Ilkai Cantermachi just claimed off of Linda Rice. It takes heart.
His horse has been claimed 6 times his last 8 starts.
Very popular 6-time winner. Here's the 5 Jackson Avenue for Linda Dixon.
Yeah, dropped last time. It did a little running. She's going to need the race to totally fall apart.
Collect Dat, double-digit odds, Romero Mirage.
This horse has a ton of speed. I like this horse, especially at this price of 10-1.
So do I. I picked this horse.
Here's the favorite, My First Love. Linda Rice just claimed off of Rob Atras.
I don't love the claim, big drop down, but she is the horse to beat. She's the best horse if she runs a race.
There's Lane Luzzy looking to add another on Vegas weekend.
Yeah, I mean, this horse ran okay last time, was wide all the way around there. I thought kind of got a nice little setup, though, to look better than it actually was.
And Maggie T, Ruben Silvera on the outside.
She, along with the number 2 Spiritual Lady, was against the track in her last start. Now, I don't love her recent form, but she may be a little better than she looks as she drops down, or she's running where she ran last time, where she sort of had no chance.
Let's go down to Paul.
Yeah, tough race to end the card today. And then at 7, obviously, is taking all the money here. My First Love at 2-1. And, you know, Linda Rice is going to take a lot of money, especially when it comes to the last race. And like you guys said, this horse is in for 25, now in for 16. So this is a little bit of a drop in class. You know, do I like her at that price? I'd probably go with some others in here. I think the 1 Lady Zeta is very dangerous from the rail in here. The 1, because that horse could show some major speed in here, you know. And if, you know, when the 2 taking the blinkers off, listen, the 2 has got tremendous speed, but I'm sitting right next here to Rudy. He was saying, listen, I don't want to get in a speed duel with the 1. We'll see what happens. But the 1 did run 109 and change at Penn National last time. That is pretty quick, but we'll see how that translates for the 6-year-old mare. I'm going to end the card with a long shot. I think the 8 Vegas weekend is a viable horse in this spot. If you look, Antonio Arriaga had this mare back in November when she actually run okay. She won the race before that. You know, and then since he's claimed her back, she's run a mile, 6.5 furlongs. And then last time, like Jonathan said, she was wide most of the way. I think she gets a better setup today. And at 12-1, I'm willing to take that shot. I think she's way overvalued, Greg.
All right, so Paulie taking a swing with a 12-1 shot, the 8 Vegas weekend. Lane Luzzy will be aboard there. Good race to close things out.
I agree. I think it's an extremely open race, and I like the 6's chances here. This trainer's been like a wise guy here, ran way above her head in a race that kind of fell apart last time. Time before, I thought she ran well enough to win here, and I'm going to take the price here. I think this horse is an overlay.
There's the 180 he's talking about. Collect Dat, Romero Mirage will be aboard. Can be forward. Does not have to have the lead. And has a couple of wins on this racetrack, so we'll see third off the short layoff what she can give us at 9-1.
Yeah, I bet the 6 in here and use protectively with the 7, but also the 2 and 9, who I think are both prices and both horses that are better in their last race. Suggestion they were hurt by biases in their last start.
Romero adjusting those irons. 8-5. On My First Love.
Well, she is the horse to beat. I wouldn't take 8-5 in here, but she is the horse to beat. Do you disagree, Jonathan?
No, she's definitely the horse to beat off of her previous races. But yeah, I agree. I don't necessarily want her at that price. I'm gonna go with the 4 in here. I love the you know, I would want to make sure I had the 6 involved that you picked, but I like the 4. I think the 4 is interesting. You know, cutting back from the 6.5 to the 6.
Nightcap from Aqueduct. Here we go. Chris Griffin, the call.
One more left to load is Maggie T. Ruben Silvera to the outside. Going in. All set. They're off. Collect Dat was off very slowly. Towards the far outside, there's Maggie T, who's in the early mix, and at the rail, there's Lady Zeta. Lady Zeta will now press on as the clear leader is up by a full length. Also moving forward, here comes Vegas Weekend in pursuit. 3 wide will be Maggie T. At the rail, It Takes Heart is in a shared 4th spot. Does Jackson Avenues to the outside of that rival. Touch wide is My First Love, who's there in 6th. Dropping back a touch was Collect Dat, has got a wide rally after the slow start, and Jackie the Joker's trying to run on with Spiritual Lady. 22 and 4 for the opening quarter mile, and they're chasing Lady Zeta. Lady Zeta is in front, is up by 3/4 of a length, is in hand and doing it easily so far for Michael Sanchez. All in, Vegas Weekend is right there in second. Maggie T is ranging up 3 wide as they approach a quarter mile left to go. Lady Zeta is still there. Lady Zeta continues to roll on. Vegas Weekend in between horses, and Maggie T is now rolling on the grandstand side, and here comes My First Love with a big rally late. It is now Maggie T who's ready to challenge. Lady Zeta's trying to come back towards the inside as they approach a final 16th. My First Love is trying to make up late ground 2. Maggie T is almost there. Lady Zeta's not done towards the inside. Maggie T wins the finale. Maggie T over Lady Zeta, then came Vegas Weekend and My First Love in 1 minute 13 and 1.
Maggie T for Rudy Rodriguez. Ruben Silvera aboard for the win, 9-1 to close out this card here in New York.
You follow track trends. This horse was on a dead rail last time out. Now, her previous 2 races, albeit against better, were a concern, but she had a massive excuse last time and got the trip to get it done today. I'd like to know how the 1 took as much money as she did and how they knew she'd run as well as she did, because she was probably best.
Yeah, I mean, look, I thought the 7 at the top of the stretch was an easy winner.
So did I.
And all 3 of these horses really just kept fighting till the end, and held her off. I thought that was the most shocking outcome in my opinion.
9-1, 8-7 in the finale, a 9-1 ending to this Sunday card here in New York. There's Maggie T for Rudy Rodriguez, owns this one as well, claimed back mid-December of last year for $25,000, and now gets that first victory for Rudy since the claim with Ruben Silvera aboard. We'll have these prices for you when we come back. Told you earlier on in the show, we're going to look back some of these big performances from Hot Springs yesterday. How about Booth in the Grade 3 Whitmore? Massive effort, putting that speed on full display with a huge victory for Steve Asmussen. Stay with us. Be a part of history and reserve your place at the all-new Belmont Park. Secure your priority deposit today for an exclusive selection of hospitality offerings, from luxury suites to premium lounges with breathtaking racetrack and paddock views. The new Belmont Park will feature modern amenities, delivering the perfect blend of tradition and innovation alongside world-class racing. Don't miss your chance to experience tradition reimagined. Visit newbelmont.com today and claim your spot. Back with you. Nightcap, New York. Maggie T closes out the card with a win at 9-1. Rudy Rodriguez owns and trades. Ruben Silvera aboard for the victory.
Do you think Maggie W will be upset she wasn't here to see Maggie T get the money?
Well, she never usually bets on the Maggie horses anyway.
Well, she doesn't pick her husband's horses either, so.
21-20 to close it out. Pick 4 over 13.50.
Yeah, this horse had a legitimate excuse last time. It's one of the reasons, look at biases. I would have liked her more if her recent form had been a little better, but she got the right trip and ran well today.
6,568 back in the pick 5 and a $22,000 return in the pick 6. Well done. Nice handicapping if you were able to put that together. We got more coming up from Oaklawn.
Thank God.
And we got some big races to look back on at Oaklawn. 2 extremely exciting runners that ran yesterday. We talked about Booth as we went to break. He ran in the grade 3 Whitmore, and he didn't really give anyone a chance.
Well, we were talking about this, I think, yesterday or Friday. If you look at his PPs, the 2 best races he had ever run, the prior race with a 105 buyer and his maiden win, first time out with a 96 buyer, were the only 2 times he was loose in the lead. And while he had won a couple starts without the lead, he was clearly better with the lead. When the 2 speeds scratched out, which we also heard about in Friday's show, that Ruben texted to let us know, he was loose, and he was fast with a 107 buyer. This horse can run.
No, and you got to be excited, at least I am, about the fact that you see those Heilebrodt Silks, a Matoli, with Steve Asmussen, good sprinter. The burnt orange doesn't upset me at all either.
We're going to hear from this horse going forward in Saratoga. I honestly think there's a chance he could be one of the better sprinters in the country.
Completely agree. He got a significant figure last time as well.
Why are we getting yelled at?
I don't know why I'm getting yelled at. I haven't done anything to deserve to be yelled at yet.
Don't need that.
We
from
got
our
an hour
director.
left.
That's okay.
But that was a screech.
Let's bring in Mig. Booth, obviously, start to finish, just incredibly impressive, Mig. And how do you feel? Is this a horse who's a major factor now in the sprint division?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he jets away from the gate. He leaves in motion. When the doors move, he moves. And they figured out that he just wants to be fast. Let him alone. Let him do his thing. Eric Asmussen did a great job. He jetted away down the backstretch. Give him a nice little breather around the turn. And what a luxury for a rider to have a horse that fast that you can put a couple length cushion on a fast field of horses and then give them that opportunity to kind of catch their breath and then kick on again. That was Eric Asmussen's first graded stakes win as well. 3 wins for him yesterday. And, his dad trained Matoli, who's also owned by the Heiligbrods, Bill and Corinne Heiligbroad, who were here on track yesterday. This was an outstanding effort. Got a big buyer figure to back up what we saw visually as well. To me, he is a major player in this sprint division.
Well, we found out as well, a very exciting horse, no question. We have a new major player in the Distaff division. And before we just write off this year and hand it to the reigning horse of the year, Torpedo Anna, who's going to go next in the Grade 1 Apple Blossom, she might have some competition now after Where's My Ring, what she did yesterday at Oaklawn.
Right. I mean, to be fair, she's met Torpedo Anna twice and got blown off the racetrack, but she had some excuses. And this effort, and you look up who she ran against, this number comes up, is extremely legitimate with a 12-plus length win, a 103 buyer. Just to put in perspective, Torpedo Anna with a 95 last week. I'm not saying she's better, but she has some credentials, and I think she could be very interesting in that Apple Blossom. She made it more interesting, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, the one interesting thing about Torpedo Anna is I obviously questioned how fast she actually was last year, and she jammed me in a locker a few times.
Particularly in the Travers, where I was with you, too. So.
She didn't face very many horses that were faster than her on paper. This horse is faster than her on paper. Now, that doesn't mean, like I agree with you, doesn't mean that she has to beat her. But it's going to be, it's made for a much more interesting Apple Blossom rather than what we thought we were probably going to see.
I completely agree.
Huge effort. She had that 6-furlong sprint as sort of just the setup to get to this, Mig. And wow, did she put in a wow performance in this effort to set her up for that rematch with Torpedo Anna.
Yeah, guys, and you think about, Where's My Ring last year, big effort to break her maiden in the Gazelle. But looking at her then, the way she would break out of the gate, never a real sharp breaker. I always thought she hadn't really filled in her hind end. When she walked by me yesterday, she looked like a different horse. She had really filled in and developed her hind end. She made a huge step from 3 to 4. This is a completely different horse than we saw as a 3-year-old, who was a talented 3-year-old. I think she is going to give Torpedo Anna at least a challenge. I think that, like you said, it got much more interesting, and I wouldn't count this filly out. I mean, she really took a big step forward from 3 to 4. This is as dramatic a change as you're going to see. And like I said, showed talent at 3, but now all the pieces are starting to really fit.
And she was good last year. I mean, she broke her maiden, the Gazelle, after finishing second in stakes in California. Got some nice horses, and obviously things went wrong. I thought she got very much the wrong trip and had no shot the way things worked out in the slop in Kentucky, and something went wrong in the Acorn. Now, she's also lost by about 80 lengths combined to Torpedo Anna, and that doesn't mean she's a better horse, but I think she indicated yesterday that she has a chance to maybe at least give her a race.
Yeah, I mean the figures don't lie. I mean at least to a to a certain level, and she ran fast.
And the other thing is, we always talk about horses improving when they get older, and you worry with fillies or mares sometimes they don't have aren't as good. Listen, I'm not knocking Torpedo Anna in any way, and there's no way she was going to run a faster fig than 95. What was she going to do? Win by 20 lengths? What would that accomplish? So I'm not condemning her on the figure. But this horse has now demonstrated, where's the ring, that she has improved dramatically from 3 to 4.
And that's what you want to see. I mean, you want to have some real competition for Torpedo Anna going forward. Now it looks like with this one she does. So April 12th, circle that date on your calendar. Where's my ring? A rematch with Torpedo Anna. And look, the way that Torpedo Anna did it, she did it with plenty left in the tank.
And listen, Ken McPeak, he's ready for any challenge. I like to give him a hard time, make fun of him, but he's got the courage of his convictions. And I don't think Kenny's going, oh boy, now we got to run against a good horse. I think he's ready to say, we'll see how good she is when she squares off against the champ.
He's still got the grizzly.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing too about Torpedo Anna in her defense, when she faces faster horses like she did with Fierceness, she shows up and she runs her race.
She rises to the challenge.
She wins her races as the best horse.
D-Wayne Lucas coming back to the Derby for the first time since this horse was in it last year. That's Just Steel. After a runner-up finish in last year's Arkansas Derby, we'll see if he can pick up his 3rd career win next.
Newgate sold for $850,000 as a yearling. His full sister, Denim and Pearls, sold for $2.8 million. His 108 buyer was the fastest of any into mischief in 2024. He posted a 122 Equibase speed figure and ran a -2 1/4 on the thoroughbred sheets. In all, he defeated 8 individual Grade 1 winners. New to Three Chimneys.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got them. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Union Rags, a proven sire with 6 Grade 1 winners. He has 3 Grade 1 winning juveniles, including Dancing Rags, Union Strike, and standout older horses like Express Train and Paradise Woods. His success continues with recent graded stakes winner Circle of Trust and multiple graded stakes winner and Grade 1 winner Power Squeeze. Union Rags, a proven Grade 1 sire, standing at Lane's End.
Get into the game with Bond Racing Stable. When you partner with Bond Racing Stable, the Bond team does all the work and you enjoy the experience. As a partner, you can watch morning workouts, come to the paddock for saddling, and cheer your horse down the stretch. Bond Racing Stable offers more than 30 New York bred weanlings, yearlings, and 2-year-olds in a partnership program that gets you to the winner's circle. Whether on your own or with friends and family, make Bond Racing Stable your racing partners. Go to jamesbondracing.com today.
Back on our Sunday coverage, Fox Sports 2. Main event still to come on the Sunday card in Hot Springs here on America's Day at the Races. And we showed you going to break Just Steel for D. Wayne Lucas. He'll be back in the Derby with American Promise off that Virginia Derby victory. Just Steele was in the race for him last year. Didn't do all that well in a tough performance off a runner-up effort in the Arkansas Derby up behind Muth prior to that. He is 6-5 right now.
Yeah. No big surprise that he's a heavy favorite here, right?
Well, he had a 6-furlong sort of setup return for the comeback, a horse that you would think wants more ground.
They love a horse that runs in the Derby, though.
I've always loved this horse. I hope he can get his act back together. We'll see. But I don't want him at a short price. How about you, Jonathan? I thought there could be a contentious pace in here, to be honest. The 1, the 3, the 4, they all have speed. What about the 4? Why can't he win? Awesome Aaron. For Norm.
Especially at that price.
Yeah, he's got some good numbers. This is D-Wayne's man of the moment, Nick Juarez, who was aboard that Derby prep victory for him yesterday.
I hope he runs well. I wouldn't take a short price. This is a crazy competitive race.
Here's WW Scout's Honor. We skip to the 3.
Ace speed, but I don't think he's good enough.
The 4, Awesome Aaron. Can be forward.
Yeah, ran a big race last time. He's not really being bet off of that.
I'm surprised.
Norm Cassie, Ricardo Santana Jr. there. Gewürztraminer, Cipriano Contreras with his nephew aboard.
I got the chills when I looked down at that name. You nailed it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we can go now.
Runaway Jack Isaac Castillo for Mac Robertson.
Didn't run badly two back, but the last race a problem as he stretches.
Speedster stretching out. Nasty Habit.
Yeah, this horse is interesting, though. He does have some speed if he can carry it.
Martin Garcia on Save the Trees for Mike Maker.
Another one stretching out. The theme of this race are stretch outs.
Fletch fans all in on this one. Underhill's tab.
He's got a couple of fast numbers. I just don't quite trust him.
Tyler Bacon aboard, 17-1 on the stage for Team Asmussen here. Eric in the irons.
Just too slow.
And 2 also eligibles draw in. Here's Master Game Kent Sweezy Barn.
Also too slow.
And then a 68-1 shot. Okay. Also for the Mac Robertson Barn, Excitable Boy.
He was wide all the way around there last time. From this 14 hole, he projects to do the exact same thing here.
Greg, I want to ask you a question that I would normally ask Jonathan. What musician's album is called Excitable Boy?
Ooh, I don't know.
Remember when I broke your phone?
Warren Zevon?
Yeah.
Really?
Where was Alana's on that? Tennyson on the Block?
You still owe me an iPhone for that.
Roland the Headless Thompson Gunner?
Let's go to Mig.
Come on. Thanks, Greg. And I'm here with the legend, D. Wayne Lucas. And Wayne, you got Just Steele here. He came off of the layoff with a nice effort sprinting. He was pretty fresh, and he was up on the pace. What kind of trip would you like to see from him today?
I'd like to see him on the pace a little bit. Not on the pace, but I told Nick here, I said, try to, at least be in the top half of the field. And I think he'll do that naturally. It's going to be, I'm not so sure I got him dead fit. I hope that he'll hang around.
Well, to me, listen, he's always been a big, strong horse, a mountain of a horse. But he looks like he made another step to 4.
Yeah, I think so. I think he was just one of those big, growthy horses. I've had a couple of them like that you think, well, they're never going to be a racehorse. Next thing you know, they're in the handicaps. I think he's coming around. He should be all right. This one may be tightener, and then we'll look for something bigger.
Well, he's the son of Justify, and yesterday a big win with another son of Justify, American Promise. This is a horse that's always trained extremely well, and it looks like he kind of put it together yesterday.
Again, that growthy horse, he's 17 hands, and I think he's just now finding out what he can do and growing into his frame and everything, and it's coming at the right time of the year. I think in the next 30, 40 days, this horse will improve some off of that. He has given us every indication that he wants that, that type of trip.
And the trip he got yesterday, Nick Juarez, who to me rides extremely well for you. It just seems like you instill confidence in him. He allowed him to use his stride.
Yeah, you gotta. I think when the horses, when they are that size, I think you have to let them get into it and rock along. If they get comfortable in their stride, if you watch that film, he finished great. But if you look at it and didn't know, you'd say, well, I don't know, he's out for a good gallop, because he didn't look like he was going anywhere, and yet new track record.
I mean, and he was actually geared down a little bit late.
Yeah, late, absolutely. he was on, he was in coasting mode, and I just wanted to see him kick it in like that because I seen that a little bit in the morning, and I was so pleased with him yesterday.
Wayne, you've had a history of this, horses getting good, coming together at the right time. Obviously, Charismatic is one that comes to mind, but there's been several others. Feels like this horse is kind of fit in that frame.
I think he is. That's a good comparison. I think, Charismatic, I didn't think he was a racehorse until about 2, outs before the Derby. But this horse has got some talent. If, as a trainer, if you see a little brilliance in the morning, which you have already alluded to, if you get a little brilliance in the morning, you always think that maybe I'll get it in the afternoon if I can, handicap it. And that's kind of where we're at here.
Thank you so much for taking the time. And guys, the Triple Crown Trail just got infinitely more interesting as far as I'm concerned.
Always better when you have a legend of the game in the mix with D. Wayne Lucas. Of course, it's going to be better.
He's also a pretty talented horse. I mean, that race did not come out of nowhere. I think if you look at his PPs the first glance, maybe somebody would say, where did this come from? But what chance do you have against Magnitude, the race he ran in the Risen Star? And I also thought he was rated. And with a more aggressive ride, he's better. If you look at his Southwest, he ran very well in that race. So I don't think this win is that surprising. Now, whether or not he's in the upper echelon is another question. But because of his speed, he's going to have some kind of effect on this race, whether or not you think he can win.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you have horses that have a little bit of talent, sometimes, flipping the switch in terms of being more aggressive with them can really wake them up. And I'm certainly not comparing American Promise to a horse like Knicks Go, but look at how much better Knicks Go was when he became this aggressively ridden, free-running horse.
I'll give you another one. Gunrunner. Gunrunner, and I agree with you, he was a nice 3-year-old, but he was running buyer figures of around 100 consistently. When they sent him to the lead in the Clark, late in his 3-year-old year, that's when he ran a big figure, and that's when he started running better races, when they were more aggressive with him. And it's not a big look at Booth yesterday, right? He's a good horse, but he might be one of the best horses in his division when he's allowed to be in the front end. And I think one of the things that's happened in this game is a lot of horses have been inhibited by running their best races because their trainers are afraid to go forward. Well, Bob Baffert ain't afraid to go forward, and Wayne Lucas not afraid. I mean, Bob sent West Coast to lead the Travers. He doesn't even have any speed. He sent Arrogate to lead the Travers. He's not a speed horse. I don't understand how people see Bob Baffert do it and they think, I'm not going to do that. What, are they afraid they're going to lose? You can't be successful in anything, particularly this game, if you're afraid to lose.
So and he's become the most successful trainer in the history of the Triple Crown, putting horses forward and taking those shots.
I think there's a line that Richie likes to say from the chief, Alan Jerkins, where your guy's trying to change evolution, rating speed horses. To me, it's the dumbest thing in the game is rating speed horses. Like, you've got a horse that's stretching out a little bit and you want to try to get the distance. Do you think you have a better chance rating him or going to the front end?
Yeah, and I understand the idea of educating a horse.
That's different.
For a scenario that might come up. But intentionally taking a horse back, I think, is problematic.
Out of what they do best.
Exactly.
I mean, you can't win in this game unless you let your horses do what they do best. If you lose with your strength, okay, you weren't good enough. But
well, let's see what happens here with this horse, because Just Steel for D. Wayne Lucas has the inside post. He was very close, right on an incredibly hot pace, sprinting. And now he's stretching out. He has the speed to be in front, doesn't he?
He does, but he's got to face others. But I can't imagine that Wayne and Nick Juarez from the rail in here are going to go, let's take him back.
That's the key, I think, there is Wayne, right? Wayne's not going to give those instructions. He's one of those trainers, an old-school trainer who understands the value of speed. He started with quarter horses, very similar to Bob Baffert. He reminds, that he does the same thing that you'll see from a Brad Cox. They're not going to rate speed horses. It's just not what he's going to do. He understands the weapon. He's been around dirt racing long enough to know that from that inside post, what's the best situation can happen with Just Steel if you take him back? You're
absolutely nothing.
You're gonna take him back. You're gonna eat some dirt. They're gonna fall apart. You're gonna get a rail run up the inside. You're gonna circle horses.
And let's keep in mind, too, last year, not that many starts ago, this horse had a huge performance in the Arkansas Derby. He had a 95 buyer, second behind Muth. He has the potential now as a 4-year-old. Still, there's some big races on the resume for him.
He's a nice horse. I agree. Now, listen, it's what Richie says also. It's getting your position going forward. In other words, just because you show speed doesn't mean you have to be in front. If other guys are super aggressive and they want to go, there's nothing wrong with letting them go. But at least you want to establish that position, so if the pace isn't that quick, you're running your strength. We'll see what kind of ride he gets, but I'll be surprised if they're not at least looking to be aggressive.
He's a 7-5 favorite. Nick Juarez aboard that win on American Promise for him in that Derby prep yesterday. See what Just Steel can do here. Just a 2-time winner, runner-up in last year's Arkansas Derby. Breaks from the rail. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman.
Game for trainer Kent Sweezy going forward. 2 back, Runaway Jack stretching out today for the Mac Robertson barn. And his stablemate, Excitable Boy, to the far outside post. Will need to overcome that outside post position. Draws in from the also eligible list along with Master Game. Runaway Jack goes in. Here's Excitable Boy to complete the field. Good second-level allowance race coming up here with a full field. And with that, we're ready to go. And let off. Excitable Boy stumbled at the break. Nasty Habit on the lead today. WW Scouts Honor a little bit quicker. He strides in front. Nasty Habit second in the early stages. Awesome Aaron third. Just Steel on a tight spot. Has to tap on the brakes off of heels. He's fourth, scraping paint on the fence as they go into the turn. Awesome Aaron getting towards the lead and has the lead, in fact, on the inside. Awesome Aaron taking control of things. Leads 3 parts of a length. WW Scouts Honor backs off just a little bit. He's tracking now second. Just Steel on a hold third. Nasty Habit fourth. Then Gewürztraminer and Save the Trees in the pink jacket. Master Game parked 3 wide, swinging up the back stretch. Baton Rouge well off the speed today. He's 7 lengths behind with 5 furlongs to go. Gap of 3.5 to Excitable Boy. Underhill's Tab is next in the field. Second to last, Runaway Jack, and on the stage is well behind the gray as they're halfway home. Remember, this race will end at the 16th pole. Awesome Aaron extends stride, opens up 2 lengths. Now the favorite Just Steel taking second from WW Scouts Honor, retreats to third while under some pressure, rounding the turn. Gewürztraminer is next. Baton Rouge sent hard. He's 5 lengths off the lead in the 5th position, attempting to pass runners. Nasty Habit is given way, passed by Master Game, and the others are well behind as they come to the top of the lane. Awesome Aaron neck in front. Just Steel is struggling, backing out. He's done. Just Steel as they come down the lane. Won't get it done. Far outside, Baton Rouge continues to roll on down the center of the track. Baton Rouge trying to catch Awesome Aaron and WW Scouts Honor. Baton Rouge and Awesome Aaron putting away WW Scouts Honor. These two to the finish, coming to the line. Baton Rouge got it with a perfectly timed ride by Rafael Bejarano. Baton Rouge over Awesome Aaron, then WW Scouts Honor and Just Steel.
Baton Rouge, Chris Hartman, Rafael Bejarano picks up the 3rd win of his career.
And he got quite the trip in the ride to get it done. A horrible beat, if you like, the 4, Awesome Aaron, who ran too well to lose near. And, Just Steel didn't break that sharply, but Jonathan, I almost think it helped him get a better position. He was bad.
Yeah, he did. He didn't show up at all in here, and it's one of those things with these horses that run in the Derby. No matter what, I believe they're always overbet for the rest of their career. They just have that name recognition, and Just Steel, to me, feels like one of those horses.
You're right.
He was pretty good last year, though, to be fair.
No, for certain. But they're just moving forward. They're always overbet.
Well, Baton Rouge, it's his day today. So into Mischief, who rolls by Awesome Aaron late to get this victory for Flatland Racing Stable. Blinkers coming off. Finds more late. Gets the job done. Looking to stay undefeated in the Louisiana Derby, John Hancock passed on that Virginia Derby. He'll head to the fairgrounds, and can he stay perfect and punch that ticket for the first Saturday in May?
Charge It is pouring it on, winning the Dwyer by the length of the stretch. Charge It wins it convincingly in this Grade 2 Suburban.
Back with you on our Sunday coverage on Fox Sports 2, Baton Rouge. Chris Hartman, Rafael Bejarano for Flatland Racing team up for the victory here in race 7 at Oaklawn.
Excellent ride, excellent trip to get it done. My friend Norm Cassie took a very tough beat, however. I know he's your friend too, John.
Yeah, I mean, look, he looked in trouble. It's always tough when you look in trouble, and then you hold off the horse that was causing you the trouble.
Yeah.
And then another one comes and runs you down. He did the dirty work, putting away the 3 who was pressuring all the way around there, made an early move at him, and just wasn't able to hold off.
Won the battle, lost the war.
Very disappointing effort from Just Steel. I just don't know what to say at this point. He was bad. Maybe he'll be better going shorter. Maybe look for 7 furlong race for him or something.
Race 8. We move along. Mile and a 16th. Allowance optional claiming field, $130,000 purse. 3-year-old fillies who have never won 2 or a claiming price of $200,000. None of them know in for the claim. Legal Empress right now taking a lot of support outside Tyler Bacon at 5-2, coming off a second to Decadent last out. Stakes placed in the Martha Washington.
Sorry, I'm all over the map. I was looking at Fairgrounds, and now we're here. We'll see what happens. Sorry.
JK, did you like anyone in here?
I mean, Legal Empress makes sense. I mean, you know, I thought the horse ran well last time. Just got nailed late, got ran down by a race that fell apart.
I liked California Sunset, but that's probably a pretty, and Legal Empress, but I like in that order. Probably a moto pick, a favorite.
All right, now Vanilla off
Taking
a
a lot of money.
debut sprint win in the slot, stretching out.
I'd love to book her if she's
Favored at 9-5. Louisiana Derby, that's where John Hancock is headed, undefeated for Brad Cox. Drew the rail with Flavian Pratt.
I'll be honest, it is not, and I have not done a lot of work on this race, but it is not a stellar field settling in, and frankly, I know Owen Almighty came back to run the Tampa Bay Derby, and I didn't like him at all, but he was gifted that race like no horse I've ever seen in a Grand Prep, and Jonathan, I know he's lightly raced, he can improve. I want no part in this horse.
No, I don't need him here, and you know he's drawn on the inside. He's gonna kind of be hustled away from there. His pace figures were fast in the last race. He ran well enough, but I just feel like the extra distance, the extra 1/8 of a mile, is gonna go a long way. I think in some more pressure, and he'll be a short price as an undefeated horse. I'd probably like to look elsewhere.
I mean, probably the logical horse is Built. If you're somebody who thinks the rail got good in the Risen Star, Chunk of Gold came up that rail. Built was chasing the winner and chasing out in the middle of the track and still ran a 92 buyer. He seems fairly logical in there. I do think that Tistastic, who was inside, is going to run a little bit better. I thought he ran well enough in the Southwest. I wouldn't dismiss him either.
Now let's take a look at Tistastic. This was from the Southwest.
I mean, just kind of got lost a little bit in this race, and not exactly the best of trips with Keith. I thought he got, he was closer, and then he sort of got totally shuffled out. And not the trip I would like. Now, he didn't run that well last time behind Kell Battle, but horses weren't really making up ground that day, particularly at the Rebel, except the winner.
The one interesting thing when you look at this Louisiana Derby is that you got to keep in mind they're going to be going a mile and 3/16, a 16th less than the mile and a quarter they'll see in the Kentucky Derby. And I think that distance, that change in distance from a mile and a 16th for most of these horses is fairly drastic. And I think you'll see horses that will appreciate it and run much better than they've been running. And you'll see horses that don't appreciate it and will run significantly worse. This is a spot I think you could kind of take some chances, get creative with some interesting horses that might appreciate that added distance.
I think that's very fair.
Speaking of the man who won the prep yesterday, Dwayne Lucas, Caldera, just missed against Getaway Car, who many expected more from yesterday in that Virginia Derby. Missed by a nose last out.
Well, I was going to ask that question. What do you do with Caldera after Getaway Car got smoked yesterday? Now, obviously, it didn't work out for him with the other speed going, the other speed running as well as he did, but Caldera gave him everything he wanted, but I just kind of wonder if this is a race maybe you don't want to trust.
Yeah, well, it's a race that you would assume you wouldn't want to trust, right? I mean, no one's acting like the Sunland Derby is one of the best Derby preps.
He had a good resume though, Getaway Car.
That's fine, but then when you question the race anyways, and then Getaway Car comes and runs poorly, you're allowed to assume that the race wasn't very good.
I think there's something to be said for what both of you are saying. Getaway Car did come in. He was second to Journalism. You don't want to knock him. But I do wonder about those races a little bit if the horses are really as good as figures suggest. Caldera ran well last time. I don't think you could ignore how Getaway Car ran yesterday.
We'll see what happens. First of those 100-point races to get into that Kentucky Derby starting gate coming up next weekend. This is right around the corner. Third and final leg of the Triple Crown is going to be at Saratoga this summer. Stakes schedule has been announced. We'll be back with that next.
At the Keeneland September yearling sale, the premier thoroughbred auction venue in the world, Mandy Pope of Whisper Hill Farm signed the ticket on the $5 million sale topper by Curlin, bred by Stone Street Thoroughbred Holdings. He was one of $5 million plus yearlings by Curlin to sell. No fewer than 55 of his yearlings fell to the auction gavel, averaging nearly $600,000, making Curlin the #1 sire of yearlings in 2024. Curlin, the classic sire.
Horse racing? Check. Weekly promotions? Got 'em. Huge payouts? You bet. With Naira Bets. Download the app today and bet on any track, anywhere, anytime with live HD horse races, betting tips and tutorials, expert picks, and more. You bet with Naira Bets. Join now for a new member bonus at NairaBets.com.
Justify comes roaring home. He's just immortal. Justify is the 13th Triple Crown winner.
An Arabian Lion claws to the front here. Arabian Lion to win the Grade 1 Woody Stevens. One minute, 21 and 3/5 seconds.
Spine-tingling, jaw-dropping, awe-inspiring, Secretariat-like.
As the field turns for home, Mindframe on the outside is coming after Dornoch, and it's Mindframe and Dornoch head in head with a furlong left to go. Sierra Leone is closing ground. It's Dornoch hugging the rail. Mindframe a little erratic, but he's still right there with Dornoch in an absolute thriller. Dornoch and Mindframe, it will be Dornoch and Luis Saez to win the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga.
It was historic, the first ever Belmont Stakes at Saratoga last summer. It lived up to the billing and more. And we'll be back at it again this summer.
You coming, Jonathan? Wait, I know somebody was the odd man out, so it wasn't you, was it? Oh wait, they didn't
no
tell
one
you.
told me yet.
They didn't tell you. I'm sorry.
That would be devastating
I
if
shouldn't have said
I-
anything. I forget I said anything.
Well, what a race it was. And what a story Dornoch was. Crowds were sensational. It was an incredible week of action. Be part of it this year. June 4th through the 8th, that Belmont Stakes Racing Festival. Tickets on sale now. And you can find them right there.
I want to say I like Jason Worth a lot better before he misspelled my name on Twitter the other day. I'm going to give him a slight pass on that, but I'm still.
SURL? Was that it?
He put the T in.
Okay.
The infamous T.
Opening
The
day
Sterling T.
of the main meet.
I've heard it before.
July 10th. Diana, first grade one of the meet that first weekend. Coaching Club American Oaks, Jim Dandy. And then August 2nd, that Whitney. We've sort of had this dream about what the Whitney could be this year.
I think you're allowed to dream. You know, when you look at the horses out there, I've seen some great Whitneys. I've been around a long time, and I've seen some great races. And the Whitney, I think at this point, especially on the East Coast, it is the biggest race in the country outside the Breeders' Cup Classic. It is the race. It is an important race for stallion value, but everybody wants to be there. And for the first time in a long time, we have the opportunity to have an incredibly great race.
Yeah, it
Lot,
could be.
Sierra Leone, Fierceness, maybe Torpedo Anna, who's probably going to take a shot at the boys at some point down the line if she continues her incredible year. Again, Ken McPeak is not averse to that. It could be sensational.
Yep, it really could be. One of my favorite Whitneys, and I go back to Ancient Title. I saw him win 75 the first time I went there. A great Cowbred was when Commentator held off St. Liam. And some people say, he got away, he was his lone speed. He went 46-109 and change with Gary, and that was a great stretch run. I actually watched it with Nick Zito, and the stretches seemed to go on forever, and he was able to hold him off. To me, that's one of my absolute favorite Whitneys. Great, 2 really good horses squaring off. Fast horses, 124 buyer, I think.
We're going to play Name That Prep winner right now. You guys ready?
I did good when you were gone last week, by the way.
Sure you did.
No, I did.
I wasn't here.
You did.
I did.
Jonathan stepped up.
Yeah, I got a good one.
Stepped up. All right, so
it's about Catherine Deneuve.
3-time winner from 6 starts. That's going to throw you off.
It's not Justify. It's not Justify.
$1.2 million in earnings from those limited.
Oh, I know it is. He won his debut at Belmont on my birthday, June 11th. It's Grindstone.
Wow.
Yeah, well, the 5 furlongs. What's funny about that race, and I'll tell you an interesting thing about the 5 furlong debut, it was the first time we started to have uncoupled entries. And Wayne had a 4-5 in the race, and Grindstone was like 4 or 5-1, and he circled the field and won.
Oh, last Louisiana Derby winner to win the Kentucky
Never ran
Derby.
against the
How
Derby.
about that?
Never. Well, he beat the Derby. Beat Cavanier. He caught him by a nose in the Derby. And I remember, like a lot of people, thinking, I don't know who that guy who trained Cavanier, but that poor guy, he's never getting back to the Derby. And I think Bob probably felt that way as well. But
wound up winning it 6 times.
Yeah, he was an entry mate. His entry, we had entries back then, as a matter of fact. He was an entry. You'll notice I think he's like the one. I believe he was an entry with Editor's Note. No, he's a 4. I thought he and Editor's Note were part of an entry. Editor's Note beat Skipaway in the Belmont Stakes. The cool horse.
Derby was his final start, 112 buyer figure in that Kentucky Derby win with Jerry Bailey aboard.
Yeah, just getting up over Cavanier. Tough beat for Bob, fortunately.
All right, one more and a chance for Jonathan to jump in here.
I got a chance.
You got a second one?
We got a second one for you. All right, here we go. 5-time winner. JK should be able to get this one.
Well, that has to be later.
This Belmont was one of the incredible throwdowns.
Oh, this
that'll be.
I know it is. It's Hot Rod Charlie.
Andy got it.
Wow.
Well, Greg gave it to me, to be honest.
Wow.
I really liked Hot Rod Charlie. He feels
was
like a horse
so fun.
that's kind of forgotten about, and he was a
ran,
damn good
I thought,
horse.
Maybe the best Triple Crown race in defeat that we've seen, maybe ever.
He would probably not ever, but it was one of them. How about Bodemeister in the Derby? How well did he run that day and lose? But no, this was a great effort when he was second to lose to quality, whatever. What was his name?
Central Quality.
There's so many of those qualities. And here he is winning the Louisiana Derby. Would you have gotten this one if I hadn't jumped in? After they showed his name, you would have
with Dubai, I probably would have needed the last clue.
I didn't remember him being second in Dubai.
I would have needed the last clue.
Who was he second to?
By the way, DQ
out of the Haskell.
And who wound up winning that race as a result?
Mandaloon, the horse that kept
Got
winning
a
races
Derby
by getting
via
put up.
DQ 6 months after the fact.
That's right.
I want to say Country Grammars we ran second to. Is that right?
Probably. That sounds possible. Wow, is that
I don't know if that's
embarrassing
true or not,
defeat?
though. But
What's the question?
He's saying who he runs second to in the Dubai World Cup. He thinks I'm a Country Grammar. I'm sort of feeling bad for him at that point.
Country Grammar.
Country Grammar, who sold for less money in the Paul Pompa dispersal than a horse who had just won a $40,000 claiming race and hadn't been claimed. And he wanted to win about $20 million.
Yeah,
sold for $110,000, and perceived, I think was the horse, sold for $140.
Wow.
Yeah. True.
Andy's tough in this game.
Yeah.
But JK did step up last week.
To be fair, you gave it away when you said how well, because you and I watched that Belmont together, and we don't agree on everything, but we agree on that one.
This 8th race, 3-year-old fillies. Mile and a 16th, Vanilla still taking support off that one sprint for Ken McPeak. on a sloppy sealed track. Now, start number 2, winners, mile and a 16th, fast track.
Kenny's numbers are solid, stretching out off maiden wins. He's only 2 for 8 with short prices, second-time starters. This is not my cup of tea. Sloppy track, a sprint stretching out. Jonathan, I would never bet this horse.
Yeah, I don't. I
would
don't see
book
this
her,
one.
but I wouldn't bet her at that price. I mean, she's 6 to 1. I wouldn't have a problem if you wanted to bet her, but I don't.
It was a lot of money she's taking. John Ortiz with the 1 who we're going to see here in a moment. By the way, quiet side back on the work tab. Worked very strong, reportedly this morning. Headed to the fantasy on the way to the Oaks.
He was good last time. Jose Ortiz gave her a great ride last time.
He'll be back aboard. We'll start with a 6. Flashware, Thomas Vance.
Yeah, 104 to 1 last time. That's hard to do.
Well, she was in a little bit tough in the Honeybee.
Here's Spanker Boom for John Ortiz.
She's speed. I just don't think she's good enough.
Ensor Cell is Rafael Bejarano for Ron Moquette.
Had a tough trip last time, wide on both turns.
Here's Vanilla stretching out, Ken McPeak.
By the way, Ensor Cell's a crazy price. I'm against this horse. She's overbet.
California Sunset, trained by Brad Cox.
Yeah, I mean, one of the horses that makes sense in here, but 7 to 2 is fair enough.
I thought she'd be favored here. I think she's the horse to beat.
Steve Asmussen, Eric aboard, and Chanting.
I don't get it. She's just too slow.
Coming out of the Summerlin Park Oaks, distance second that day, slow time. Here is the 7, Kinsey Queen with Francisco Arrieta.
She's actually kind of a neat, almost overachiever. I don't like her in here, but she's run okay in her last couple starts.
And here's the Apprentice, Tyler Bacon on Legal Empress.
Ran well last time. Got a lifetime best figure after adding Lasix.
Was 3rd in the Martha Washington.
She seems logical to me.
7 minutes from the 8th. Let's go to Mig.
Yeah, guys, and let's continue to talk about the 3 Vanilla. First of all, the hardest thing a horse can do in their early career is to go from a maiden win to take on winners, and then throw in the fact that she's stretching out in distance. I'm right along with you. I don't care for horses making those kind of big changes and moves forward. And also, from a pedigree standpoint, the damn Chantis has only produced good sprinters, including a horse we're familiar with, guys, Bavaro, in New York. She has not had any foals successfully stretch out. Now, I know that horses can create their own pedigree. Heck, I didn't have a pedigree to be a jockey, but I prefer others in here. I thought she was impressive on debut, but stretching out in the second start is a very tough thing to do. The 4, California Sunset, she could not look any better. She is an absolute standout from a physical appearance, and she makes a lot of sense on paper. She would be my top selection. She looks really, really well turned out. And then the 8 horse, Legal Empress, makes a lot of sense. A daughter of Tiz the Law, should set up a good stalking trip, or maybe even makes the pace here under Tyler Bacon, and that's one of his strengths. Horses run up into his hands, and when a horse gets balanced out by a rider, they tend to carry their speed further and get a 5-pound break in the weights besides. To me, the race boils down to the 4 and the 8, guys.
Mig, thank you. There is the 8. Big work. Well, quick one anyway. I don't know how she did it, but she got the fastest move of 52 in the morning to earn the bullet. The daughter of Tiz the Law. There she is.
I'm with the Mig. I picked the race 4-8-2. So I'm with the Mig here. I just think that what I would say about it is that they're all decent prices. The 2 feels to be a little bit of an overlay. I can't believe these horses, John. You look at doubles. Is it really true that 3 is going to be favored here?
I have not looked, but I can do so quickly.
I can look. What is this, the 8th race?
It says the 4 is the favorite and the double.
4 is an overwhelming favorite. The 4 and 8 are, in the pick 3, the 4 is a slight favorite over the 8. And the 3 is like a bigger price than the 2.
3's a 4th choice.
Yeah,
someone made a big win bet.
These odds are going to change dramatically in the next 5 minutes.
Well, let's take a look at California Sunset for Brad Cox, the 4. Daughter of Quality Road. Ramon Vasquez will take over. Florent Giroux's been the regular pilot. This was at Fairgrounds in her most recent effort. Had the lead in the stretch, and she got run down.
Yeah, I mean, my worry with her is that she's, piling up the seconds and thirds. But the one thing I'd say about her, John, is it's not as though she's a short price in there, but does feel like she should have won this race.
Yeah, I mean, it's she's 2-1. She's 5-2, 2 starts back. She's 3-1 last time. I guess the last time you could argue that the pace wasn't particularly quick. She was trying to pass horses. She was losing a little bit of ground. I mean, she's definitely the horse to beat in here. And if you're going to get this price at 3-1,
you're not. You're not.
Exactly.
This board is going to change dramatically. The 3 could end up 9-2, 5-1, and the 4 and 8 are going to be real favorites when we get closer. I mean, real favorites. Yeah, it's the problem, you have to be careful, and that's why it's important to look at will pays, especially a track like Oaklawn. Here, where we don't have CAW money in the win pools, you don't see these changes, but you're going to see it. We see them in Oaklawn on a daily basis. It is what it is.
So, yeah, we should see, this is going to change dramatically, you would think. There's California Sunset, and 2, you look at that, it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. She probably should have closed the deal. Looked like she was drifting out a little bit as well.
I also always feel like trainers like Brad Cox, they're supposed to seal the deal, right? It just seems like Brad wins. Having said that, she's a major player here, and I'm not against her. I respect the 8. I thought the 2's last race was good. The problem with the 2 is where did it come from? But sometimes, Jonathan, when you see these horses that kind of win these races out of nowhere, well, that's the horse they've become. And I think if she runs her last race, she can win here.
She had blinkers last time, didn't she?
She did.
Maybe that's where it came from.
She had so much more speed. Well, maybe they also used her speed a little more, right? She'd run 2 straight route races, and she was nowhere near the lead, whereas Bejarano got her in the game. She's not going to be in front here, but she could be close, right?
Well, meanwhile, you thought Kinsey Queen was a little interesting in here, the 7. And that's been the hot hand, Francisco Arrieta. What'd you like with the 7?
I thought she wasn't impossible. I don't think she's a good bet in the 4-1 range. I'd rather bet the 2 at 7-1 than the 7 at 4-1. I just don't think she's impossible. That's all.
She still needs some pace to close into as well.
Meanwhile, Legal Empress outside. That very quick work coming into this. Stakes placed on the road to the Oaks in the Martha Washington, although a very distant third. Finished just ahead of Kinsey Queen last start.
I mean, I guess it's when is this too late for these horses to come back in the big race, the fantasy, right? I mean, it's 2 weeks from now, right? So I guess
it depends on who trains them.
Well, it was Wayne was in there, but the rest of well, I mean, Ken McPhee could. He ain't afraid, but I don't think so. And those horses are pretty good. Brad Cox, by the way, speaking of horses, the 3-year-old fillies, because of the disappointment of Mahima in the last race, I don't know what Brad's doing with her. He's probably coming back. But I guess now, suddenly, his best hope is Good Cheer, who's running in the Fairgrounds Oaks next week. I'm looking at it a little bit quickly. You got a Cherie horse that broke its mate at 6 furlongs, stretching out Cherie DeVoe, that ran a good figure and took a lot of money. And you've also got Quick Kick in there trying to get better. She's going to be very tough, Good Cheer.
I think that Cherie horse you're mentioning, I think that horse is a half to Vava, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, she probably is. Her name is Ahava.
Ahava, yeah.
Ahava.
Yeah, City of Light.
Well, does that mean she wants to go? He wants to go. She wants to go.
Speaking of the Fairgrounds Oaks, here's the field that is going to line up, and the 3, the one you were talking about.
Jose Ortiz is just absolutely killing them down there. I mean, he's winning at 29% at Fairgrounds. He's just such a good rider. Doing so much better, and but Good Cheer is going to be very hard to beat. She's good.
Here's that Rachel Alexandra from her. Back on February 15th.
She's going to be 3-5 in here, isn't she, Jonathan?
Of course, yeah. They love the 1s too. She's undefeated. I mean, she'll be odds on for quite some time if she continues to win.
I was disappointed in Quick Kick last time. The one thing I'll say about Quick Kick, and we're being a little bit of a homer because he's trained by Tom Amos, who I actually do like. I don't know why, but I do, because he puts up with me, is that she ran well enough as a 2-year-old that with routine improvement, she could get her figs into the 80s. And what chance did she have? That race was completely dominated forward on the Rebel Day, where speed did pretty well. So I'll bet you Quick Kick runs a lot better, but she better run better to beat the favorite.
She's going to need to take a big step up. Good Cheer, 5 for 5. Minor move forward last time out, but I mean, of who's out there, there's no the Derby started to separate itself, the road to the Derby, a little bit with journalism, with Barnes. Not so really with these three-year-old
Well,
fillies,
I think Quiet Side ran very well last time, and she's clearly a player. I don't, based on what we've seen in Florida, unless Ballerina Dioro, who ran well when she was second, and the Demoiselle takes a step forward, as I think she will in her next start. There's nobody in Florida looks dangerous. We haven't seen anybody around here at this point looks dangerous, and I don't know what there is in California.
No,
but
I mean maybe the last round we'll kind of get that. I mean, obviously, Good Cheer's undefeated, but she's not running blazing fast numbers.
And we'll see how she does going forward. But she's probably the favorite right now, right, for the Kentucky Oaks.
Loading up here, the favorite has become California Sunset for Brad Cox. Just missed in that effort last time out at Fairgrounds after having the lead in the stretch. Could she seal the deal this time around after breaking her maiden at Churchill at a mile 16th in her second career start? Still, Vanilla's 7-2 on the board. First time going longer, troubled trip. She overcame a lot of adversity sprinting in the debut. That's a tough ask, though, stretching out to a mile 16th at start number 2. Matt Ditterman, the call.
Legal Empress in. We're ready to go. And they're off. And Vanilla hopped in the air at the start with a bad beginning for her. And Flashware was slow to go and is detached. And another steady there for Vanilla. Not a good go for her in the first 16th of a mile. Spanker Boom on the lead going into the first turn run here. Insercell in tight down on the inside. Had to get a little bit outside and bumped with California Sunset. Insercell very keen to go on behind the pace here. A lot of action in the first quarter mile. Spanker Boom on the lead. 3 parts of a length. Legal Empress second. Insercell rank in third on a stranglehold right now by Rafael Bejarano to settle down here. Enchanting outside. California Sunset between horses, only 2.5 lengths behind. Gap of another 2 to Kinsey Queen. Flashware is now second to last. She's past Vanilla. Vanilla would need to be much the best to win it as they head down the backstretch. 8 lengths from tip to tail, and Spanker Boom is on top, leading 3/4 of a length. Legal Empress placed well and gets the perfect trip in second. Insercell a little more settled down in third. She's still on a hold. Enchanting outside of her. California Sunset 4 lengths off the pace as they go into the 4-turn run. Kinsey Queen outside of her. Vanilla still at the back with Flashware. Around the 4-turn they go. Spanker Boom neck in front. Legal Empress turning up the pressure. And here she comes looking for the lead. Legal Empress has a nose in front now. Spanker Boom sent hard from her inside. California Sunset being shaken up to go in the 3-path off the turn. And Kinsey Queen is unwound from towards the back of the field. She's coming with a surge down the center. They're down the stretch here. It's still Legal Empress. Now she needs to deal with Kinsey Queen and California Sunset. Kinsey Queen grandstand side hits the lead. Legal Empress fighting back from the inside. Legal Empress game outside Kinsey Queen. Legal Empress won it. Legal Empress and Tyler Bacon over Kinsey Queen, California Sunset, and Insercell.
Kinsey Queen looked like she was going to roll right on by, but Tyler Bacon, Legal Empress dig in and pull this one out.
Well, stalking an overmatched rival at a slow pace when you're maybe the best horse in the race going in on paper makes it hard on the others. I think the second horse ran very well, even though she appeared to hang, but I think it was more a case of the winner being good and getting a better trip, Jonathan.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that trip made the difference. They gave a little bit more, had a little bit more gas in the tank when it came down to the real running in the last 16th of a mile. That was a good group of horses running against each other. Whoever won that one was going to have to run really well to do so.
It keeps winning like this. Tyler Bacon might have to stay with the big boys. Gets another win here. Legal Empress on the daughter of Tiz the Law, former Belmont Travers winner. And now the second win for this filly with the Apprentice aboard.
Nothing stood in his way. War of Will won the Preakness.
At the line, War of Will, that's a photo for the win.
Will then and Vince Chemino take the Jimmy Durante.
War of Will, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on our Sunday coverage, America's Day at the Races here on Fox Sports 2. Tyler Bacon, legal empress for Abel Ramirez Rodriguez barn, and a daughter of Tiz the Law with the win in the final race we're going to bring in tonight.
It's a nice race to close it out. You know, good field, good race.
8-7-4 finish. We had a very fun weekend. Some very big races. Obviously, you know, we talked about Booth, talked about Where's My Ring. Both very exciting horses we saw Saturday in Hot Springs.
Yeah, this is a year. It's only March, but man, there's horses in a lot of divisions that are looking pretty good, and the 3-year-olds going to the Derby looking good. It's a good time.
Yeah, no, it's always exciting to get who's going to be the next superstar.
When's your top 10 list come out?
It's always out.
We'll see you next week, Friday, 1:30 Eastern start time on Fox. Check your local listings. Ignite the Light wins the battle of that trio. And an impressive performance in the feature at Aqueduct. And it was Baton Rouge in the 7th at Oaklawn, up in time for the victory. We will see you again on Friday, 1:30 Eastern time. Enjoy your weekend.
Selling the best. Fasig-Tipton graduates won more Eclipse Awards in 2024 than any other sale company. Torpedo Anna, Moira, National Treasure, Sierra Leone, Soul of an Angel, Straight No Chaser, Fasig-Tipton, eclipsing the competition.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
General admission tickets are on sale now for the Belmont Stakes on June 7th at Saratoga Racecourse. Don't miss your chance to witness the historical third leg of the Triple Crown. Get your tickets today by visiting belmontstakes.com/tickets.
New York breds. Race them.
Respect them.
Bet them.
Respect them.
Breed them.
Respect them.
Buy them.
Respect them.
Train them for a second career.
Respect them. Join us in respecting thoroughbreds at every stage of life. Learn more at nybreds.com.